Basically said, just take the game on, you know, we've got nothing to lose. We're down by, I think it was 20 points, and he just said, take the game on, take it by the scruff of the neck and play bold attacking footy.
Need some marking forwards. Green has been the best of them.
All I remember is that Stephen Phoebe was running down the wing and he just popped it up, basically not kicking to anyone, and I was just standing in the middle of the pack and it basically fell into my hands, so I was very fortunate.
Melbourne need this goal and he obliges. Great start for the Demons.
He stands with the margin at 15 and now it's reduced. What a kick from the young Brad Green.
I heard the skipper yell out to me, just kick the goal, just try and kick the goal. So, you know, I went back and just tried to slot it through, and you know, it went through. I do love kicking a goal. You know, it's something that when I played soccer that you don't do much of, but when you actually do kick a goal in soccer, they do celebrate pretty well. So I think it comes naturally from my point of view from that.
It's half time. Loose ball in the pocket. Leoncelli snaps a goal. Melbourne back in front.
Yeah, that was an amazing feeling just to put it back in front, and you know, I think all the boys got around him, and you know, it was one of the best moments I've ever had, and you know, just to listen to the crowd was just unbelievable.
Knocked out of there by Leoncelli across the goal face. Bruce, an unlikely hero, the rookie. Wait for the siren, the ball on the outer side. Great cut from behind victory Melbourne. D is for Docklands.
It's a type of feeling that you just try and go out there and just play footy, and you know, it's basically a dream come true to go out there and kick a couple of goals in a final.
A pair of unlikely heroes in place. Green and Bruce. They've made their mark on this season. They've made their mark on this second qualifying final.
They certainly did back in 2000. Brad Green, as you mentioned there, was a soccer player, trained with Manchester United as a teenager, and also played under-19 cricket for Australia. So a bloke with plenty of talent. He'll be in action today against Carlton at Colonial Stadium, where we find the only other Melbourne champion I can remember with such talent as Brad Green. Multiple talents is Gary Lyon, of course. Gazza, how you going?
Beautiful work, Ed. Forgive me as I just wiped a tear from my eye there. That was a wonderful memory of the 2000 season, and Melbourne have had good form against Carlton over the years.
Yeah, they have indeed. Gary, let's have a look at the Carlton side first of all, and they were back in town last week with a 1-point victory over Richmond, the old enemy, and just suddenly the great man, number 43, is at centre-half back.
Look, it's a big name, isn't it, in more ways than one, and it just fills up the page beautifully there from a Carlton point of view, and they would be delighted to have him back. He just looks a better side with him in there. Not sure whether he'd start on the ground, but regardless, he'd be a bit nervous, you would imagine, at this point in time. But look, with him back, it takes a bit of pressure off Wheatley, who we know is so talented. They just all will walk a little bit taller, I'm sure.
No doubt about it. It's been 301 days since he ruptured his anterior cruciate ligament in the first semi-final last season. And we caught up with Akuta, who made the announcement at a media conference during the week.
I'm excited. Finally, I'm back on the field. The place that I've played, you know, so many years here. And that's all I really know, how to play footy during footy season. This year has been a bit funny for me to sit out and just watch while the boys have been playing. There was times I turned up to training thinking, what am I doing here? And you know, is the time eventually going to come when I get out and play? So, I mean, it's been pretty easy when, you know, you see the guys and you're training with them all the time. I mean, the previous injury, I probably only trained with the guys for a month before I went back and played, but now I've been training with them for probably 3 or 4 months. So that certainly helps when you're training with the guys.
He needs it to bend back. It does. Oh, back at the back for Kuda.
You're never sure if you're really ready or not, but I've done all the training, everything I can. Now the next step is to get out there on Sunday against Melbourne. Time coming, long road back, and finally it's here this week. It's pretty close last week, but thought we'd wait another week, so really excited, nervous as you'd expect, but can't wait to get back on the field again. Last Friday was a good victory for them. I mean, they played in a couple of close games there, and for a while there you think, you know, they'd probably forgotten how to win, but last week it was good for them. So the boys are, you know, in good form, and you know the pressure's off. You know, it's unlikely we're not going to make the finals this year, but you know we want to redeem ourselves and obviously perform better than what we have in the first half of the year. So the pressure's always there to perform well and win games.
Going for it. He's just going for it from one step. Anthony Koutafidis.
The big Kuta, the Golden Greek, and he's had some big announcements. He's announced his engagement. He'll be married later this year, and also during the week that he and his fiancée are expecting their first baby. So a big week for Anthony Koutafidis. And that was a couple of days ago. It wasn't quite game day. On a AFL Sunday exclusive, we caught up with Kuta a few moments ago.
You nervous, mate?
Very nervous, very nervous, yeah.
Yeah, how's the knee? How's it feeling?
Feels really good this morning.
Yeah. You trained without it on Friday. You still going to play in it?
Yeah, no, I didn't train without it. I just warmed up without it, and then I trained with it on, yeah. So.
Ready to go, buddy?
Yeah, ready, yeah.
Yeah, good luck.
Good stuff there. Mickey Roberts catching up with the Kuta going in there. Good to see the old training bag, the Adidas bag, slung over the shoulder, and that is a sight for sore eyes for all Carlton fans. Gary, he's just going to add that extra dimension, just his presence there today, but he'll be lugging around that dirty big brace on his knee.
He's the biggest thing to a movie star, I think, in the competition, Anthony Koutafidis. And look, if they can get a half a footy out of him and he's able to get his hands on it a couple of times, then I think that'll be great. Let's be careful of expectation. We know Hurd and Lloyd came back, but this is a whole different story altogether.
Yeah, it's really preparation for next year in a lot of ways for the Kuta. Let's have a look at Melbourne, though. They are in form. Last week, they absolutely towered up Brisbane by 21 points. A magnificent come-from-behind victory, Gary. And when you look at the form from last night, Brisbane certainly aren't on the decline.
Yeah, look, this side are capable of doing that and have been for a long time. They bob up and win games that no one expects them to, and that's because they've got great ability. I think they've got wonderful midfield ability, and their skipper's been important up forward. But the big challenge for them has always been to come back and win the games that are expected of them. And this Carlton game falls into that category, so the challenge is fairly and squarely at the feet of the Demons.
Well, they're just in the 8 at the moment with 8 wins and 6 losses. They go to 9 wins and suddenly a top 4 position is not beyond their realms. So let's have a look at a bloke who could be the difference. And Gary, I remember we had a conversation 3 years ago saying that David Neitz is almost as important a player in the competition as anybody, certainly for this team, because when he kicks goal, they win. He's kicked 38-17 this year, kicked 7 goals, 3 last week. Of course, he plays down back sometimes, but without Schwartz in the side now, he really is the one-man band for them, isn't he, up forward?
He straightens them up so very nicely, Ed. I think that's the most important thing. And really, if you put a line through his form early in the season and over the past couple of weeks, well, I think what Melbourne need to do is work so hard to isolate him one out. I think one out, he's as good a one-out competitor as there is in the competition. So from a team structure and a team planning point of view, you must do everything possible to ensure that David Neitz has just got one man to beat.
Well, the man who does the structuring and the planning is Neil Danaher. We caught up with him training, preparing for the game against Carlton.
There's the siren. What a comeback and what a win. Celebrations all round as Melbourne win.
To beat Brisbane up there is a big result for us, considering one, it's hard to win on the road, and two, it's been very hard to win up in Brisbane. So hopefully we can one, move on from that, but carry that form into this week.
Lamb going back with a flight of it. Oh, wonderful mark. Wheatley in trouble on his knees, got a hand pass away.
Yeah, a couple of young players, been around for, a few years now, but still only 21, 22, and that's the future of the Melbourne Footy Club. Players retire, and someone needs to step up, and we've been quite fortunate that 2 of those young players have stepped up for us. Yeah, look, I think he's been a good skipper all along, and we've asked him to play in quite a difficult position up forward as a key forward. He's growing into that position. He seems to enjoy playing there, and as we know right now, he's in good nick. We just have to win that midfield battle, and all key forwards, if they're given good delivery, will always be very, very difficult to stop. And Carlton have got 2 of those players. Even Favola's a good player, and they've got Matty Lappin and Houlihan and those types down there. So if they get enough delivery, they're good enough players to kick a winning score. Such a brilliant player like Kuta, he doesn't need to do much to probably inspire his teammates, take a grab here and there, and he's quite an inspirational type of player. You can't expect too much first up. I just hope that is the case, that he isn't firing first up. But look, I think he'll come on and do some cameo roles. We had to carry the form that we showed in the second half of Brisbane and the second half of Essendon, we know we need to put together 4 quarters of footy. We haven't been able to do that.
Neil Danaher, a man who certainly knows what it's like to come back from a knee injury. Gary, quickly, let's have a look at this Melbourne lineup, and it is a very good lineup too, with good balance and good midfield and some young names and some excitement. It's got it all. When they play well and when they play badly, they are shockers.
Yes, it's a nice settled look about it. I think that man at fullback, Chris Lamb's important. He was a high draft pick about 2 or 3 years ago with Alistair Nicholson out of the side. His ability to stand up in the key post will be critical. And, well, Johnston's important. Woewodin, Nuzay, that's the class that this side needs.
Well, could it need one other person? W. Carey. You can't do an interview these days without asking them about W. Carey, so I asked Neil Danaher, is Wayne Carey in his mind?
We haven't considered it. We'll look at it. Look, we might look at it over the next short period of time. We might even sit down with Wayne. Probably got his mat's probably worn out at his place, but look, we'll just discover the facts of where he's at and whether he wants to play. But right now our focus is on Carlton and getting into the 8.
There's one thing we can learn from the last week, I reckon, Gary. Wayne Carey will be playing football next year somewhere. One bloke who won't be announced his retirement last week in Schwarter, and who would have thought, Gary, that he would have got a job talking?
Well, yes, this is what he does as well as he does play football. He'll be calling the game, I believe, for Triple M Radio. Be worth listening to too, I think, because he only knows one way, David Schwartz, and that's just to speak from the heart. And I reckon if you're a smart Carlton match committee, you'd have the tranny just tuned in, because he just might let something slip that could help you out during the course of the afternoon.
Yeah, great to see him there. Great personality in the game. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with Mark Robertson from the Herald Sun and all the big stories in football right after this as we build to the 1 o'clock start for Sydney and Port Adelaide.
Thanks,
Would have left a few question marks about where we're at, up and down, and we hear it all the time. But 3 out of the last 4, and we're coming pretty strong against the Bombers. So our form the last month's been fairly solid.
The last month's been pretty good, and this was.
Welcome to the replay of Carlton and Melbourne from Colonial Stadium. It's round 15 action right here on Fox Footy.
And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Colonial Stadium as Melbourne enter the field of battle. They take on Carlton today. 2 teams coming off significant victories last week for different reasons. Melbourne, of course, ending Brisbane's 18-game winning streak up at the Gabba, and the Blues by the barest of narrowest margins against Richmond on Friday night at the MCG. So welcome, Jared Healy, to Colonial Stadium. That Melbourne side has got a pretty good look about it.
It has, Gary. Still a question mark on defence, although Bizzle and Ellis in good form last week, as was Chris Lamb. But up forward, that was the story in a nutshell. Neitz dominated with 7 goals, and Vardy bobbed up also. If they are to win today, though, Wheatley has to continue his good form, move up the ground and give Neitz plenty of room. Luke Williams comes into the side at the expense of Broadbridge, who struggled over the last month.
Well, he's such an important player, David Neitz, and will hold the key again as Carlton come to play, and they welcome back one of the biggest names in football today in Anthony Koutafidis. And I think this crowd at the moment, it doesn't look huge, but if it builds, much of the motivation for coming along on Sunday afternoon would be to see the number 43 running around. They haven't had much to look forward to this year, the Blues.
No, it's been a poor week, and there they break the banner, National Diabetes Week, and most of the focus will be on Koutafidis. You'd expect him to start on the bench, Gary, but don't expect too much, Blues fans. They're just going to rest him through. It has been a talking point whether he's come back too early or not and what they get out of it. Let's hope he gets through with a couple of touches and everybody goes away happy.
I think the pleasing thing from a Carlton point of view is they have introduced some youth over the past 6 weeks or so. Livingston will have a big job this afternoon. He had Brad Ottens last week. I'd expect him to play on David Neitz this week, so that will be a tough ask. Young Blake Campbell has showed enough to suggest that he's got a future, and Wiggins has been good. But you can have as much young talent running around as you like. You need your big guns up and going. And this man, Corey McKernan, when he's playing well, he fits that bill.
He's been threatening for a month, but last week he got his timing and his disposal right back in tune. And he was the man for them last week. He really arrived as a Carlton player. He stood up when they were under the pump. It looked like Richmond were going to run away with it, but he just continued to kick important goals and leap from the front. They're down in strength in the ruck also, and he's been able to fill that gap. But for Carlton to win, they're going to need the combination there to really fire Whitnell and, of course, McKernan. And there he is, the great man, Captain Kutafuiti's back out in the park.
Well, he will start on the interchange bench, as you alluded to, Jared, and at some stage there'll be an almighty roar when he enters the field of battle. David Neitz, well, he'd be the sort of player that Kutafuiti's can play on, because I think he'll provide plenty of headaches for the Carlton defence. You saw them last week up in Brisbane. He took on two of the best defenders in the competition, walked away with 15 touches and 7 goals.
Yeah, he got a couple of scalps, Gary. He really did fire, and his kicking was potent also. He missed one or two when he was changing his style, trying to get the extra distance from outside 50, but if he marks within 35 metres of the goal, he's a pretty accurate kick. I like their running game also. After half-time, Uze came through, Travis Johnson came through. James McDonald's a bit of a concern. He'll be starting on the bench, and he's one player who's had a great year for them that has sustained an ankle injury and just struggling at the present time.
Probably as much about that man as anything else from a Carlton point of view. Anthony Kutafuiti's back. We will take a break and be back with the first bounce. Carlton v Melbourne. You're watching AFL Sunday.
I'm excited. Finally, I'm back on the field. The place that I've played, so many years here, and that's all I really know, how to play footy during footy season. This year has been a bit funny for me to sit out and just watch while the boys have been playing. It's been a long time coming, a long road back, and finally it's here this week. It's pretty close last week, but thought we'd wait another week, so really excited, nervous, as you'd expect, but can't wait to get back on the field again. Last Friday was a good victory for them. I mean, they played in a couple of close games there, and for a while there you think they'd probably forgotten how to win, but last week it was good for them. So the boys are in good form, and the pressure's off. It's unlikely we're not going to make the finals this year, but we want to redeem ourselves and obviously perform better than what we have in the first half of the year. So the pressure's always there to perform well and win games.
Fox Footy Channel and Nissan.
Toss of the coin about to take place between the opposing captains David Neitz and Brett Ratton. And it looks like the Demons have won the toss and will kick to the right of screen as I welcome our callers for two of the best in the business, Brian Taylor and Eddie Maguire. Welcome, boys.
Good afternoon, Gaz and Ed. Fantastic day. About 25,000 people, maybe a touch more in here at Colonial Stadium at the moment. Two sides in pretty good touch. Carlton off one win, but before that they'd only lost those 3 games by a small amount, and of course the Demons off a fantastic win, Ed, last week against the Brisbane Lions.
No doubt about that at all, Brian. 21 points coming from behind at the Gabba. Fantastic effort. And this Grand Colonial, there is always a late run of supporters coming in because a lot of them actually go to the pubs over in Spencer Street and then run across. So we're ready to go. Let's go down to Pete Larkins, who's standing next to the great Michael Roberts.
Thanks, Ed. And well, down in the inner sanctum of Melbourne, on the board it said fierce start and get your mind right and the rest will follow. Now, Kutafuiti's is starting on the bench. Paul Wheatley or Clint Bizzle will pick him up when he comes on forward. And I walked the ground with Scott Camporelli, a bit concerned with the lumpy surface with the new patches of grass, Doc. Nice time.
Thank you, Robert. Same yourself. Yeah, there's still a bit uneven surface out here, which the players mentioned. But Kuta will play on and off the bench today, just get a bit of game time and get his confidence up. So it'll be good to see him get out there.
Doc Larkins down there will keep a close eye on the man, Anthony Kutafuiti's, as we start this game. Melbourne and Carlton. White. Fletcher, first centre clearance going Carlton's way. Camporelli got it inside 50. Whitnell does look a little slippery out of there. The games have been played here this weekend have shown that. Franchina, as normal, doing the hard things. Houlihan, opening goal, 30 seconds in.
Well, that is a great start for Carlton. Camporelli, you mentioned in the call, who cleared the footy. He's being picked up by Peter Walsh, who generally gets a run with roll. And this fella's got undoubted talent, and he knows where the goals are. He's just got to get more of the footy. I think that's the key. The ball was knocked out into space. The cough up there from Woewodin, and Well, his first thought there is to have a look at the goals, and that's not such a bad thing for a young player such as that. And a terrific start. A couple of matchups, Jared, the middle of the ground. Franchina going with Woewodin.
And an important one.
So a magnificent opening for the Carlton Football Club inside the first 30 seconds of play. They've got a goal on the board. It's White to Power for Melbourne on this occasion. Out towards Robertson, comes out at full stretch, couldn't hold the mark. Umpire called play on. Now he's called a free kick downfield off the ball. There was a bit of holding against Jeff White by Merrington. So it goes back to Robertson, who kicks to Neitz, who kicked 7 goals last week. The two captains collide. Beautiful play by Ratton. He got across. Finally, it's Doring, who kicks for Carlton. Out to Franchina on defensive 50. Docklands side. He's got Merrington on centre wing, if you can see. Now he looks up and hits that man. Merrington wants to release Houlihan. Takes it, runs. His second disposal after a bounce. His first one was a goal. He might have a second one with 2 kicks. He kicks to the square. McCurtain gets to the front. Was he being held? No. He was the holder rather than the holdee. He's not happy. And the Demons clear through Lamb.
Tough decision, but the umpire made it. Ward has been in great nick for the Demons over the last couple of weeks. This man Bizzle, former Cat, Ellis, the former Dog, moved it forward. Green on the lead, stripped away. Wiggins, look good. The foot pass, excellent for Vola.
Always will happen when there's a turnover such as that. Ellis is a player on Favola. He was on the charge. He was running forward. He's an attacking player. And right there, that's a great effort by young Wiggins. A terrific attack on the footy. Caused a turnover, and then you find players in space on their own.
40th game for Brendan Favola. Debuted in 1999, and he needs to get a move along as far as keeping his place in the senior side. 25 to 30 metres out. Looks good, is good. Carlton have got 2.
Well, I suppose the one good thing about that, boys, was Ellis was the man punished by his own mistake.
Yeah, giving the ball back is the #1 sin in footy these days, and you see Ellis here coming through. The disposal was poor. Simon Wiggins has been a standout for the Blues. Of all the youngsters, I think he's the one that's stepped up in the moment of need, in the crisis time, and he has established himself as a likely senior player of the Blues.
Off to a flyer, 2 goals straight. Melbourne have only been inside 50 the once. They go inside 50 for the second time. Almost. Just inside 50. Thumped over the line and out of bounds. We'll have a throw in. Good play there by the ever-improving Luke Livingston, who was taken at number 4 draft, picked in 2000, and given Stephen Kernahan's number 4 Guernsey.
He's taken Wheatley. I thought he might have had Neitz Beaumont playing fullback on David Neitz.
Throw in. 55 metres out from the Melbourne goal. Bit of wrestling going on there. The umpire has paid it the way of Melbourne. Merrington just got a little bit sucked in on that occasion, and Robertson, who was always going to use his body because of his lack of height in that contest, gets the free kick. Yes. The spearing kick was beautiful, and Neitz took it right in front of his nose.
Poor defence by Carlton. This encapsulates the Melbourne game plan when it works well. They clear the space as we have a look at the free kick taking place. It was certainly there, but have a look at the space in front for David Neitz. He rarely drops the mark when he's able to lead on with like that. The question now is, can he get off to a fly with his accuracy?
And Neitz will give Beaumont all sorts of trouble if he's on a one-on-one contest. No doubt about that. Big kick coming up for Neitz, as I said. He kicked 7 goals last week. He comes in, the Melbourne skipper, for their first, and does what a good skipper does. He kicks the goal when required.
Well, you're absolutely right, Jared. I've been watching it, and on occasions McKay and also Doring have tried to push back into the hole, but that's why the movement of the ball becomes so important from Melbourne's point of view. If they can get him one out, have a look at this. Doesn't matter how great a fullback you are. If a player can get on a lead and the delivery's okay, then there's not much you can do about it. And his hands are such, and he's in such good form at the moment, that he will provide enormous problems if they can get it to him.
So the Demons bite back through their skipper David Neitz in his 3rd year as captain of the club. Back in the middle, White, powerful out of the middle. Carlton working desperately. Robinson with a juggling attempt. Did it nicely. He's found a bit of form in the last couple of weeks. Early in the year, wasn't really happening for him.
No, he has. He's a confidence player, Brian. There's no doubt about it. And he's a marking player. And I think at times he gets a bit confused in his own mind whether he should be crumbing or marking. And you don't want to be confused.
He's a permanent forward and he needs to kick goals, Gary. He's got 13 goals, 9 this year, and that is there. The Demons have also got 2.
Classic Colonial Stadium start, lots of goals, and well, it's all happening for Melbourne out of the centre bounce. Luke Darcy became Flavour of the Month overnight for the Brownlow medal, but if you're looking at a month's form, Gary, Jeff White has had few peers, and his domination of centre clearances has been quite outstanding.
Yeah, for sure, and I mean, it's so important that someone like Robertson bobs up early to give Carlton defence someone else to think about.
So after nearly 7 minutes of play, it's all square. 2 goals apiece. All-important centre break. It comes to Wiggins. Good play. Out to Murphy. On centre wing, Murphy runs to half forward. He kicks it to the goal square, looking for McKernan, who sets himself one hand. This time, he's being held, and McKernan will get the free kick.
Well, young Chris Lamb, who has been around the football club for 3 years now and was recruited as a key position player. His first contest with Corey McKernan was very good and held his ground really well and had good body position.
That is play on.
That is a joke.
The second one has won McKernan a free kick, so...
Well, maybe it came because Corey gave the umpire a nice old bake after he paid it the other way. Slightly more than a square up when you get a free kick 10 metres out from goal. McKernan for Carlton's third. Bit of poetic justice there, was there? Yes, a point.
And Corey would do well to take a look at the style of kicking of David Neitz. He runs in a pure straight line, and BT, I think we'll get some comments from you later on. But you had a look there. He tried to blast that out of the park, and he rotated and kicked it across his body.
Indeed, and the resultant miss there with a pretty easy attempt from Corey McKernan. He's been in very good touch in front of goals in the last couple of weeks. Walsh, short ball. Powell, they need him playing well. The fumble, not a good sign, but plenty of time to mop up. Sights the kick nicely. Melbourne working it forward. Brown and Uze combine. This is the important kick and the important lead. Neitz.
Gee, it was an explosive lead. He got 10 metres on Simon Beaumont. Oh, well, there you go. Simon Beaumont slipped over. Great camera work by our boys. That tells you why, because all of a sudden he had 10 or 12 metres on Beaumont.
Carlton are going to have to drop a player or 2 into the space because the half-forward line for Melbourne leading up to ground, and Neitz is, well, he's on the way to kicking a bagful here.
Neitz, 45 metres out on a 45-degree angle, and there is the style that Gerard was talking about.
Well, that's a challenge, I think, for coaches, Gerard, and I think from a Melbourne point of view, they should move heaven and earth to ensure that he is one out. So if Carlton drop one back and it ends up being a situation where Melbourne have 8 forwards, then so be it, because he looms as having a fair afternoon.
In the middle, Travis Johnson being tagged by Craig Bradley, or run with. They started out of the square. Now they're back in.
David Neitz with 2 goals, and have a look at the action here, Gerard. A little bit of movement of the ball, but the important thing is where his body is running and which way it is facing, and it is very, very straight. And the resultant kick split the big posts.
Head over the top of the ball. Well, that was an 11-point turnaround from McKernan, missing one from 10 metres out. Went straight to the other end, and Neitz kicked the goal. So you get punished very quickly in football these days. You don't need the runner to tell you. In the meantime, Melbourne are starting to run through the midfield, and this man is starting to set them alight as Powell goes up to Neitz. It's tucked away from behind. Neitz goes again. Wheatley close in on the boundary line, tries to squirt around his body. Over the line, out of bounds, throw in the right forward pocket.
And the beauty about David Neitz, he's not like your old-fashioned, stereotypical full forward. When the ball hits the ground, he's there, he's chasing, he's bumping, he knocks them over, like you did, Barge.
Demons by 5 points. Throw in. Hickmott. Wiggins over the top, hard bodies, look at that. Wiggins at the bottom of the pack, it spills to Vardy. He pickpocketed Carlton and made good with the money. Kicked the goal. They've kicked 4 straight.
Well, that's what he was brought to the footy club for, in effect, as a replacement for Jeff Farmer, I suppose, as a smaller crumbing forward who can also draw the footy on the lead. But as we have a look at this, it was just good for defensive work from Melbourne's forwards. They just kept at it, and eventually the footy turned over. And he is pretty lethal once he gets a little bit of space, Peter Vardy.
And in all seriousness, it is the issue. Full forwards that kick goals and create goals with their physical presence are invaluable.
Boy, they have some dangerous forwards, the Demons, and they're all in form. Neitz, Robertson, Vardy. They look lethal up there. A lot of space at the moment. This man in the middle is doing a good job as well. White. Franchina. He wants more responsibility. He's been a tagger for most of his career. Lappin, Bruce, Merrington in amongst it as well. There's the Brownlow medalist, Woewodin. White might have infringed. Has. Free kick will go Merrington's way.
BT, just having a look at the centre bounces. Jeff White has got his hand, I think, on every one of them. And yet Carlton is sharking it absolutely magnificently.
Merrington fancies his chances. He'll have to kick it just outside the 50 by the time he lets go, about 51, 52 metres out. The youngster, so much depends on he as well. One of the few good tools the Blues have. In he comes, 51 metres out. Kick looks pretty good. It's a solid ball, it's a goal. Carlton have got their third.
Good game of footy, Gary.
It's a good hit. That was a good hit from Andrew Merrington. Gee, he kicked it beautifully. And well, he's got to play lively footy. He's got to get to as many contests as he possibly can. And
saw the free kick there.
A little bit crude.
Yeah, just Jeff White got him with the forearm. Certainly a free kick, nothing else. But what's been impressive, I think, about Carlton has been the structure of their forward line. Houlihan's looking dangerous, and he needs to. And the set forwards as well.
So the Blues respond, 3-1-19, trailing Melbourne by just the 5 points. Franchina out of the centre, over to McKay. Good football by Carlton. They're running today. Favola on the fingertips, takes the mark at half-forward flank. Looks up, Merrington has gone down. He's the target, over his head. Whitnell was there as well. The back of the pack for Melbourne was Whelan, who got it going. Now they're starting to run. Walsh out wide to Vardy. He can run all the way here, Vardy. One bounce, two bounces, inside 50, lines up the goals, and kicks it. Gets his second. Beautiful play, Peter Vardy. Did not panic.
And that goal has come about as a result of pushing their forwards up the ground and leaving space for David Neitz. And Andrew McKay is Peter Vardy's opponent and just lost him in traffic. It's as simple as that. And Melbourne did well. Good communication to Walsh to ensure that he saw Vardy out there. And once he got into a bit of space, he knew where he was going.
Brilliant play there by Peter Vardy. He is great around the goals. Peter Vardy with space will cut you to pieces. 2 goals in this first quarter already. We've only played 14.5 minutes. White, Merrington's first touch on the ball, results in a centre clearance. McKernan, Favola, a little bit of soccer needed there. Couldn't keep his footing.
Throw.
Handball, umpire there. He had a good vision, Gerard.
Yeah, just under pressure. Favola tried to get it out quickly, but he scooped it out. And the centre clearances is an issue now for Melbourne. White's been winning them, although he didn't win the last one, but Carlton have cleared the last 3.
7-2 hit-outs. 6-3 the clearances Carlton's way, 7-2 hit-outs Melbourne's way.
Ward at half-back, wanted to go on. 50-metre penalty against Favola, and that is what Brendan Favola is unfortunately capable of, the good and the bad.
Now, we've got a situation now where all the space, all of Melbourne's forwards are staying outside of 50, and David Neitz has now got 4 Carlton players to contend with.
Do you get numbers back in that situation?
The forwards have got to go down as a starting point and lead out of that dangerous position.
Ward wisely just dishes it off sideways to Green. His kick forward to the smaller player in Brown wasn't successful. Hickmott did well.
Yep, over the top, and Doering over there as well. The kick in from Green was just a little bit high. He was kicking off his back foot, leaning back on the kick, try to get over the mark. Throw in, just inside the forward 50. Wiggins for Carlton, ducks his head, he's grabbed by Robertson, will have another bounce. Demons by 11 points. It's been an entertaining opening in the first 16 minutes of play here. 8 goals, 1 scored between the two sides. Two ruckman miss it. Vardy tried to get the opportunities to kick out of a pack. Camporelli kicks a torpedo for Wheatley. He pulls in with the one paw, and then the look-away handball was no good. He wouldn't want to see it. No wonder he looked away. On centre wing, here's a chance now for Ward, who thumps it long. Beautiful kick. Big turnover coming as Powell went over the top to Uze from the pocket. He loves these. Hits the woodwork. Melbourne's first point. 5-1-31. Carlton 3-1-19.
And Melbourne's first interchange, Robbo. Well, Travis Johnson coming from the ground and James McDonald going on, and he'll go straight on to Craig Bradley.
It was all but through. It hit the back of the post.
Yep.
It did. So technically had it crossed the line. I think these days the line is as thick as the post, Ed, so probably exclude that. McKay with the ball. 32 today, years of age. His kick was very ordinary. Ward, who's been playing dynamic football for the Demons centres. Brown put the hand up. Here's a man with cool hands. Green. Short ball. Demon just going wide with the ball. Waiting for something to present downfield so they can then penetrate. Short ball from Wheatley. Finds Walsh. Peter Walsh. He'll wait for the lead forward now. They clear the room for Neitz. Uze's down there. Carlton getting back in numbers. Whelan switches the ball. One of the best by foot for the Demons. Whelan, I think he's in the top 10 foot disposals. The kick goes to Green.
Not sure
infringement lap, and I don't know about that.
No, not sure there was much in that at all. I think the umpire anticipated that there was going to be an infringement. Maybe.
I reckon he was pretty hard done there by Lappin. He was inside. He didn't put a hand in his face or maybe even not connect.
Taken 18 uncontested marks, Melbourne, because of this situation. 5 to the Blues.
Green to Ward. Ward gets to 55, kicks to the front of the square. Up they fly. No one could take the mark as the ball goes to the ground. Merrington on hands and knees got one in the back. And they take the free kick.
Yeah, just a bit too vigorous that time was the Melbourne captain.
Advantage paid, so Darren kicks to Camporelli. Little chip over the top. Fletcher has Beaumont running inside, uses him. The handball stayed in the air for a while, but Beaumont took it and handballed back to Fletcher. Waxing these two. Back it goes to Doring. Beaumont ran on. This is good play. Ran off Neitz. Now he can kick a goal. This is nice punishment. The Carlton fullback lines up and kicks the goal. Great goal to Beaumont.
Yeah, it was a goal of persistence. He kept on pushing down the ground. He backed himself. And interestingly, Jeff White ran to the goal square, which is probably the worst position of all. If a bloke just goes back and kicks it over your head. He really relied on other people chasing from behind. There was a couple of half-hearted attempts, but nothing that was going to put him under pressure. And at that point, it was only a matter of accuracy.
So even the defenders getting amongst the goals for the Blues. They bite back and they're within one straight kick. White out of the middle, look at that. Class, Uze, forward, Livingston. Handball's out the back door. Carlton, Beaumont, there he is, just got on the end of the last goal. He finds Ratton in free space. Carlton are away here. They've got numbers through the midfield. They go long. 2 key forwards there. McKernan did nicely, blocking anything coming over the top for Whitnell to grab.
And the run through the middle and off half-back is exceptional. And Clint Bizzle, who's playing on Lance Whitnell, you can't spectate Clint and hope that someone else is going to do the job for you. If Whitnell goes, he has to go with him. He's that good a player, Lance.
Whitnell, very smart. Comes in, kick on its way, a little bit of right to left about it, but that's okay, it's effective. Carlton are now level with the Demons.
20 minutes in, Jared, we've had 10 goals kicked, which would suggest that these two forward lines are well and truly on top, and that's why the centre becomes, and the centre clearances become such a critical issue.
And another rotation for Melbourne's midfield. Brown coming off to Travis Johnson. Bradley will pick him up. They started with Walsh on Camporelli. That's about break even. Murphy was being tagged by Brown. Murphy just had an important possession, and maybe that's the reason he was taken from the ground.
So scores a level with 8 minutes left. in this opening term. Corey McKernan is playing good football today. He's had a couple of assists that will go unnoticed in the stat sheets. Here's Green for Melbourne. Handball inside. Bit of acrobatics from Uzo, I think it was, or Robertson. Uzo it was. Turnover. Houlihan needed to take the mark and did. Now he's got Whitnell away. Bizzle fell over at the crucial moment. Whitnell around on the turn. That was tapped on the mark. Here's a chance now for Doring. He knocks it forward. Hickmott. McDonald over the top. Umpire will bounce 30 metres out from the Carlton goal. Bit going off the ball too with Houlihan and Whelan.
Impressive start by Carlton, Ed. They're a side on the bottom of the ladder. They've had a 1-point victory, the first for 10 weeks or so, and yet they're playing and running like they're a side comfortably in the 8.
And Amuzo's had 8 disposals and 3 clearances. He's been the man for Melbourne out of the centre. Over the top from McKernan and came out to Fletcher. Houlihan over the top. Here's Ward for Melbourne trying to cross through. Fletcher gets it back. Tries to knock it forward. Tunnel ball from Franchina. Ends up with White, who held his composure nicely and squeezed the kick out to Walsh. He plays on straight away. Oh, have a look at that. Power with the handball and got it back. Bit of sleight of hand out there. To the half-forward flank position. Punched away by Wiggins for Carlton. Bruce was grabbed. Umpire has called play on. Great stuff. Real arm wrestle at the moment this game as Hickmott has grabbed. Franchina has grabbed. Green doing the grabbing. Umpire will bounce.
Good contest, wasn't it? Great contest in tight. Hot footy. Have a look at this. Stephen Powers. You get 2 stats for this? That's a throw, surely. And then gets a handball away.
Importantly, Gary, at the other end of the ground, Carlton have dropped an extra player in the space in front of Neitz.
31 points apiece. Here's a man that's done some damage. Vardy and another. Uze through the midfield. He's great by foot. And there is another that is setting them alight up forward at the moment, Russell Robertson.
That is the key, Brian. Jared called it. When he looks up, Uze, he sees, and in a split second, he has to weigh up the fact that, yes, Neitz is 2-on-1. Who else have I got? Robertson is a 1-on-1. I'll go to him, and that's a great decision.
We might just go down to Doc in a moment. We'll do it now. Doc Larkins, quickly, Brett Ratton.
Yeah, right thumb injury a couple of minutes ago. They tried to have a look at him out on the ground. It's pretty sore. They just brought him up to try and strap it up just to the base of the right thumb. There may be a little crack in it, but they'll strap him up the rest of the day.
Russell Robinson to put the Demons in front just before quarter time.
Second poster.
Hit the post. Demons by 1 point. 23.5 minutes in the first quarter.
New opponent for Russell Robertson. Started with Hickmott, but they quickly changed Wiggins onto Robertson, and he has looked dangerous, Gary.
Yes, well, he's a confidence player, Jared, so these early touches are so important for him.
Peter Larkins, Doc, just a quick question without notice. Is it the same hand that Ratton's had problems with?
I'll have to think about that. I'll just get back to you to be checking.
Okay. Doc will be back shortly with it. He's had problems, of course, this year. Here's Merrington inside. Whitnell takes it on the half volley. Releases. Great handball. Here's Eccles to the open goal. And he has kicked it. Touched. Right on the line.
It's a great dive.
What an effort.
Ellis. Well, there you go. He's got one back for his turnover before. So everyone's square. But I tell you what, Eccles, he just poked this one. He should have put it into the 3rd level of the stand, really. Great effort, though.
And Ellis actually anticipated that off the boot, didn't he? He saw that he was just going to poke it.
Yep.
He did, and the work of Whitnell, really, he held onto that footy until he drew both players, Melbourne defenders, and it opened a path for Eccles. It was terrific to watch.
Umpire says to Woewodin, come on, you've had long enough, kick it into play. So he does, and he does it effectively. Robinson. The Demons have looked accomplished through this area of the ground, the midfield. Liancelli, he's just fresh on. And he'll give them something in this last 7 or 8 minutes of the quarter.
Whitnell pushing back. Livingston, Merrington pushing back.
Undecided Liancelli. And the reason is, as Jared just mentioned, all of the Blues are pushing back, forming the wall across their half-back line so that Melbourne can't penetrate and force them to go sideways.
Had trouble, contested marks, Carlton 5, Melbourne yet to take a contested mark.
So forward 60 for the Demons. Robertson does it well, got to the front. Liancelli, Vardy, went back into trouble. Ball spills for Walsh, who kicks long. The skipper in the square, one out. Almost took a beautiful mark, free kick.
Oh, no.
Well, these are big free kicks, aren't they? These aren't just free kicks. These are free kicks.
These are free goals.
Well, let's have a look, boys.
No. Oh, that is just a contest, one-on-one.
Oh, poor decision. Really poor decision.
Oh, no umpire. That is bad. All right. You don't like to see easy goals because this is a game where people are constantly putting their body on the line. And this is so disproportionate to the offence. Free kicks are 7 to Melbourne, Carlton 3. Neitz comes in and kicks his 3rd goal of the quarter, and the Demons lead by 1.
It's a great start from David Neitz's point of view. And I think you'll find that what happens now is that so much attention and focus goes on to the man who's kicked 3 first quarter goals that this is where the other forwards need to work hard to be viable options as well. That's just... Simon Beaumont just needs to tuck that one aside and not worry too much about it. But it does play on your mind. Your man's got 3 goals in a quarter.
Beaumont got 1 back himself, but Brian... Brian, when you're a full forward and you get a soft free kick like that, it does put a doubt in the fullback's mind about just how much holding he can do for the rest of the game, really, doesn't it?
No question. The next time it comes down there, Beaumont is going to be a little bit negative and iffy about bodying and touching Neitz. Kick goes forward this time.
Twice. Livingston's out, Mark Wheatley.
Numbers back. Beaumont hurried kick. It was effective. Murphy didn't travel the 15. The umpire said it did. Well, categorically did not.
They were red hot last week on the 15 metres, and this week, you know, geez, if it goes 5, you're getting a mark.
They're having a rough run down there. Jason Baldwin, the umpire, I think it might be his first 1 or 2 games. Another free kick. So we've had a great 25 minutes of football, and it's been free-flowing, and now the men in white want to get involved.
Cameron Bruce doing a good job on Matthew Lappin, although, as we all know, he only needs 10 minutes. He can be so destructive.
Bizzle, penetrating run through the middle of the ground. Neitz. Robinson. All the emphasis, as Gary mentioned, going to Neitz, and Robinson chips in.
So important. It really is important, and that's the benefit of having a dangerous forward line and a dangerous forward setup. Eyes on the footy, so important. He's looking good, Russell Robertson. He has had a very good start to this game, coming up for his 7th kick. He's taken 4 marks.
And 1 goal, 1 to go with it, Gary. Robinson comes in, he just chips at it. May have pushed it across the face, he has. So 1 goal, 2 today for Russell Robinson in this first quarter. Melbourne, though, looking likely. They lead it by 7 points.
2 players in Carlton's forward line, one of whom is firing, the other one a little bit quiet, will probably determine the result for them. Lappin has been well covered by Bruce. Houlihan's interesting, Gary. He's got Whelan. Whelan was beaten early. Houlihan has come back to the field somewhat, but he's had a good start. The knock on him is that he doesn't give 4 quarters. Let's follow him with interest.
Camporelli to Fletcher. The good lead came from Hickmott. He hits him. Centre of the ground. Lappin presents himself. Handball's on. Here's Eccles. He'll put the boot through it this time. Beautiful kick to Favola. And that is champagne football, boys.
Well, that's exactly how they'd like to see it. That is only Carlton's 3rd mark inside 50, but they have looked dangerous. If they can get the footy through the middle of the ground and they move it quickly enough, they have looked dangerous enough. And Eccles has just come onto the ground, started to give them a little bit of something through the middle of the field and opened Melbourne up a bit on occasions.
Brendan Favola lining up for his 2nd goal. High probability to put Carlton within a point late in the first term. Does the number 25 Carlton jumper proud? Goal.
Well, Jared, I'm interested in your thoughts. It's 6 goals apiece. If we carry that over the whole 4 quarters, it's a 24-goal apiece game. Who does a shootout most favour?
I reckon it favours Melbourne because I think for a shootout you have to have running power, and Melbourne have got the greater running power. I think what is perfectly clear is that Wayne Britton has learnt to play basketball.
Carlton have kicked 3 of the last 4 goals, and Wayne Britton, Jared, you were just saying?
Well, I think he's learnt to play basketball. They're playing a more open style. They're leaving some key forwards there, and they're kicking the ball long to position. A lot of people viewed it with a jocular frame of mind, I think, when he mentioned basketball, but that's how they've played. Wide, maintaining possession.
Kicked 3 of the last 4 goals, the Blues, to get them back into a very competitive situation at quarter time. Just 1 point down. Clangers so far in the game. Carlton 11, Melbourne just 4. through the middle. Uze, an important kick to space. Robertson causing a lot of trouble down there. Wiggins has his work cut out. Now Neitz gets involved. Every time you mention a Melbourne forward, they've all been contributors. Bruce, Lappin. Haven't seen much of Bruce, though. Over the line. See the clock in the corner, minute and a half to go. Melbourne's end.
You're talking about whether it's a shootout, but I tell you what, Carlton's forward line doesn't look too bad. If Favola's on his game, he's as good as anybody. And then they've got Big Lance, Corey McKernan, Lappin lurking around the place, Houlihan's an opportunist. So it's going to be a great game of footy, this one. As you can see, it's only a point the difference. Doring gets it over to Lappin, playing with renewed enthusiasm, this Carlton side. Lance around the body, good kick. Houlihan, he's starting to do tricks, the boys. From up this oval, here's Houlihan. Runs around with his fourth disposal. Long to Favola. Into the back of White will take the free kick.
And that's what they can't afford to do, is kick. If the lead from Favola was great because it drew White as the loose man, they then need to open up and try and pick someone else off.
White kicks to Bizzle. Decides not to play on. Ticking down to the last 45 seconds of the quarter. Melbourne happy just to run it down at the moment. Don't want to concede a goal. That's in their mind until that moment. Here's a chance for McKernan. Does it beautifully. Out to Favola, who just slaps it forward. There's no one home. Bizzle has to sit and wait for it. Gets a kind bounce. Up the middle they go. There's still time with 22 seconds. Liancelli to the centre. Neitz runs. The kick was a shocker. Lance got back. Whitnell with the clearing kick into the centre of the ground. Eccles fell over. Had to balk the umpire in the end. Bradley's been quiet. But here's Murphy. Beautiful kick with 5 seconds to go. This has to hit. And he'll have to take the kick. Houlihan. Quickly with an empty square. And the kick was a shocker. And we've had a pretty entertaining quarter of football, no doubt about that. After 32 minutes and 52 seconds, there's only 1 point between these two sides. A 12-goal quarter. Carlton 6-2-38. Melbourne 6-3-39.
Welcome back to Colonial Stadium, quarter time here. We've got a game on our hands. It is Melbourne by 1 point, 6-3 to the Blues, 6-2. Goal kickers there. Favola, the multiple goal scorer for Carlton, and Neitz with 3. Vardy with a couple for the Demons. It's been a pretty exciting game, and what becomes pivotal when there's plenty of goals being scored is what happens in the middle of the ground with centre clearances. And Jeff White, Jared, you've kept a close eye on him. His ruck work has been great, but certainly Carlton have been onto it.
They have, particularly after the first 2 or 3. You saw there Jeff White cop one where it hurts. Brett Ratton has sharked him a number of times, but he is getting first use of the footy. But unless he gets it directly to a Melbourne teammate, then it works against them. He's had 11 hit-outs, Jeffrey White.
Well, he's the #1 ruckman in the competition in terms of hit-outs to advantage, and they probably need to make a little bit more of that. I mean, there is ruck work like that where it is pure and he gets clear hands on it. That one to James McDonald was an absolute beauty late in the quarter. Let's have a look at the stats, and, well, the clearances are pretty even. The centre breaks are pretty even, of course.
And they shouldn't be, given the dominance of White's ruck work.
Yes, you see their hit-outs 12-6, so it is a pivotal duel.
All right, let's go down to Pete Larkins and Michael Roberts. First of all, Dr. Larkins, have you figured out the hand problem there with Brett Ratton?
Yeah, it was his left hand after round 8 that he had a broken finger, Ed, and while he was out with that pinched nerve in the neck, you remember, they actually took the opportunity to operate on his left hand. This is his right thumb joint that he's had heavily strapped and went back out there, so he should be right. Kuda spent the whole of first quarter on the bench, and maybe you guys can see better than me whether he's coming to the bench again. But we haven't sort of seen him play, which is what we'd expect, just a little bit of game time for him. Robbo.
Just ran behind you there, Pete. You could have stuck your leg out and tripped him over. That would have made you even more.
Oh, how popular would I be, Ed?
Well, they love you at Carlton as it is.
Gee, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
I tell you what, there was a real emphasis too from Wayne Britton before the game and during quarter time for Bradley to go on Johnson and also Franchina on Woewodin to really stick close and nail them and really make life difficult for them and get ready for Kuda to come on in the second quarter. Plenty of back slapping in the first term huddle.
All right, there you go, boys. There is Craig Bradley, and we'll show an interesting stat in a few moments' time.
Start of the second quarter. It is the Demons by 1 point. Solid quarter of football played by both sides. Murphy slipping over on the new turf. You can see it there. Distinctive colour in comparison to the older stuff. And it has been very slippery here all weekend, Gary.
Where's Craig Bradley? He's still out on the field. His opponent, Travis Johnston, on the bench. Now, that is... Craig Bradley is the second highest possession winner for Carlton. Travis Johnston's the third. Bradley had 20 touches last week. Johnston had 26. I reckon that's a win for Carlton at this stage.
Yep, Johnson averaging 20 for the year and Bradley averaging 20 for the year as well.
It would appear that Neil Danaher thinks it is as well, because his man's on the bench.
And it was an aggressive one-on-one, Jared. Craig Bradley was certainly getting into Travis Johnston's space. And a good learning curve.
Koutafidis on the bench. Got very close to Dr. Larkins before and thought I almost saw him have a bit of a word. Wasn't a friendly one either. As Robertson was legged, trying to come out of the ball. Umpire said it was high. I thought it was low.
Geez, it makes a difference when you just get your head down and go hard at the footy. And Russell Robertson has done that this match, and it's so far his best return, although that wasn't his best kick.
1 goal 2 in the first quarter to Robinson as Lappin clears the ball. Carlton need to get something happening across the half-forward line. McCoon is normally deep, but he's won this one high. Couple of bounces. Look at the coordination. It's back for the big fella, Corey McKernan, as he centres the ball. Little ugly off boot. Bizzle.
One too many.
Yeah, poor mistake by Jeff White. He had to put body on body there and not allow McKernan to go around him. He just had to put a leg in front of him and knock him out of bounds, and he would have been taken out of the contest.
Good shot of the new turf and the sections that have been laid there, Ed.
Absolutely, Brian. As you said, it's been a little bit slippy underfoot for some of the players.
Particularly those with moulded soles.
Yeah, it's a really hard ground, but as you say there, Jared, some sections you need screw-ins, others you need the moulded soles. Obviously, he can't change. Here's Vardy. He's kicked 2. Here's Vardy. He has kicked 3. Great start for the Demons.
Well, I've got to say, I'm not having a go at the All-Australian selection committee.
Yes, you are.
Andrew McKay was in the 71, which was one of the big surprises for me. We've seen Carlton 3 or 4 times, and it hasn't been his best year by a long stretch. He got towed by Rashudo, which is no great disgrace, of course, but he is getting turned inside out at the moment by Peter Vardy.
So that was the team of the decade, though, not the team of the year.
Oh, is that what it was?
Well, it appeared to be.
Must have been.
Must have been.
Welcome, Jared, to the Sunday calling team here in Melbourne.
We'll get back to that issue shortly, but Jolly has come onto the ground. Jeff White having a rest.
The All-Australian boys in the back seat are not happy here at the moment.
Yeah, well, there's a division in the Australian team between the chairman and selectors and the coach, one would say.
There's a knife sitting right between us.
I have no input into selection. I just work with what I've got.
So what you're saying is you wouldn't be happy to take Andrew McKay away. Is that what you're actually telling the public?
On this form this year, he's not an All-Australian player.
He's playing his 100th consecutive game for the Blues today, Andrew McKay. Can't bust into the All-Australian team, says Gary Lyon. Leoncelli back to the middle. James McDonald started the day on the pine. A very efficient player for the Demons, and that is why Uze plays on. 60-metre kick required. Robertson!
I'll tell you what, there are players in the league that we know. I think, Ed, you used the word mercurial from time to time. He fits the category. It's his 5th mark, and probably 3 or 4 times a season he will play a game that leaves you shaking your head. He's won games up his own boot. Last year he did it against Sydney, I think it was. Kicked 3 or 4 goals late in the last quarter. And that was a standing start, that job.
He looks vibrant, as you say, Gary, and ready to play. Russell Robertson comes in and kicks goal number 2.
Well, if I didn't know better, I'd reckon I was watching Brisbane at the present time. The way Uze ignored short options to go long to the goal square with Neitz and Robertson, couple of marking options, it just reminded me so much of the potency and the efficiency of the Brisbane side. Why you go wide when you've got those 2 marking options there would need to be questioned, but Uze did the right thing, stayed disciplined and kicked it long, ignoring a couple of shorts.
So Melbourne starting to show some of the form that saw them beat Brisbane last week up against Carlton on the bottom of the ladder. Russell Robertson, any man who was recruited courtesy of almost footy legends, is always going to do something a bit exciting. There's no doubt about it. Here's Lappin with the torpedo up to the full forward zone, punched away from McKernan and also Favola. Whelan at the full of the ball. We'll come back to him. He keeps running. The wrecker. Handball's inside. Bruce. Oh, he didn't see it coming, pal. He beat one bloke, the other one got him from the other side. The old 1-2 working. They lock it up, we'll have a bounce in the centre of the ground. Exciting football.
You mentioned Adamuzzo, Jared. He's had 11 touches, 4 clearances and put the footy inside 50 on 6 occasions, which is a pretty reasonable start playing on Fletcher, who just needs to tighten up.
Might have just made a change, Gary, and I think Franchina's just slipped onto him.
Jolly in the ruck. Slaps it forward. Good play. Williams conceded some ground. This is McDonald, who comes out wide to the Docklands side of the ground. Green, a high up and under.
Didn't look. 3
versus 1. Robertson did well to bring it to the ground. Vardy, the danger man. Left foot this time. Hasn't got the penetration in the kick. And another left footer in Beaumont marks. He'll switch. Back to Fletcher in the back pocket for Carlton.
Even Robinson's chase off the ball then, when the ball had been turned over and Beaumont marked, was excellent. He's really having a crack, both when the ball is in the vicinity and also when it's not. Kick to a contested situation. Jolly should have almost been paid the mark. Bruce, the multi-skilled Bruce, out of trouble to another guy that has fair skills. Green taps down Fletcher, trying to get a body between he and the goals. McKay need to do it all. Free kick advantage will be paid here. So the Blues are away and out of that hot defensive zone. Favola over the top. Whitnell's got one in the back. And he is in trouble right in front of our commentary position.
Yeah, friendly fire
shoulder,
too.
right shoulder for Lance Whitnell. As Melbourne continues through the midfield. Powell. We'll go to Doc Larkins in a moment. It's not more than 10 metres in front of him. Powell out wide. Exciting play by the Demons. McKernan. Good mark. I think we can go down to Dr. Peter Larkins' boundary side and Lance Whitnell.
Cooter is on.
BT, if you can hear above all the crowd, that's Cooter coming on to replace Lance Whitnell. So more of a yell for Cooter. Lance Whitnell with a problem with his right shoulder being assessed at the moment. Cooter on the field.
And he'll need to be Superman Cooter because both Favola and Whitnell now both off the ground, Brian.
Yep, Favola taking a seat on the bench after that big attempt at mark. And while all of that is going on, Carlton maintained possession of the ball. So Kurtafidis.
Here it comes too, Barge. It's coming his way.
Lappin. Kurtafidis' first attempt flying. Just to the side. Jolly got there and marked.
And the shiver going up my back there.
It does, doesn't it? Isn't it an exciting moment? But it's tempered somewhat by this incident here with Lance Whitnell. Straight away, that was in front of us. We saw it. He just looked up at the bench and said, "Get me off." That doesn't look good.
No, and Pete, he has strapping on that right shoulder too. He'll come down in a few seconds' time. And we also want to know about Favola because he's been playing pretty well. He's kicked 2 goals. In the meantime, it's the Demons on half-back flank. We'll come to you the first break of play. Pete, here we go. Ellis has got it on centre wing with his 5th disposal. Inside 50 go the Demons. Neitz sets himself. Beaumont from behind. Should have been a free kick on that occasion. Maybe a square up. At the back of the pack, it's Camporelli. Looks up the centre of the ground. Hickmont's decides to go wide. Looking for Franchina. A one-on-one contest. Dangerous kick. And Uze was too good. Took the mark. Melbourne starting to lift. Kicks to Neitz on the lead. And he takes the mark. Right, Pete, go.
It's Lance Whitnell, actually. It was the hit in the mid-air that, rather than the fall, it's his AC joint. Instantly at quarter time, they added extra strapping to that right shoulder. You're quite correct. It was already strapped. He's got an AC joint sprain already. I can just see it in front of me now. It's sitting, the collarbone's sitting out of position. He's got a hit on that again. He's actually setting down pretty well. And Brendan Favola was just winded, so he should be right getting back, I would think.
Great kick in from Uze to set up Neitz for another shot at goal, and it's no wonder there's been injuries, Gary. The velocity at which the players are running and hitting each other has been extreme.
3 goals for Neitz. It's his 3rd mark inside 50, and here he is from 50. He is a thumping kick, and this is straight as well. He's got 4.
I don't think if there was a talent meter, Jared, if there was such a thing, then there'd be too many players ahead of Adamuzzo.
Yeah.
Have a look at this. The mark, the contested situation, that's where he'll trouble Franchina if they ever wanted to play him forward on Franchina to work as well. But his left foot is lethal and hits targets beautifully. And this is a good indicator as the sort of form that David Neitz is in as anything. Kicking strongly and truly from around the 50-metre line.
Brendan Favola there. He'll come back on shortly. Doc Larkins reporting that he's just winded in that marking contest that also cost them another key player in Whitnell. And The Demons are doing it very nicely. 3 straight goals in a row as Ratton takes it out of the middle.
Bradley now with his first kick goes to full forward. McKernan has to stand up here. Good punch from behind from Lamb over the line and out of bounds. And the Carlton fans say, well, what about the same thing happened in the first quarter, umpire? You gave it to Neitz. What about McKernan? Look at that. That's even worse.
Yep. Spot on it.
Consistency is where they get frustrated with, I think, the supporters and players for that matter.
That consistently inconsistent is the frustration for the fans as far as the umpire's concerned. McKernan gets a tap to Lappin. Nice hand on it from Whelan, just kept the ball away. Camporelli kicked it into the back of Bradley's head. And we'll have another throw in. Mickey Roberts.
Quick thing on Favola, he had to change his jumper because he's plugged his nose. There was a bit of blood over that, the controversy with the blood so far. And also the expectation with Kuta coming on was absolutely sensational. The crowd behind us went berserk.
Good stuff, mate. Throw in, forward pocket. Great colour from former Victorian star Michael Roberts as the kick from Lappin goes over the line and out of bounds on the full. It'll be a free kick to Uze in the back pocket.
I think from a Melbourne perspective, Gary, Neil Danaher would be pleased that when they interchanged Jeff White off the ground, Jolly came on and they lost nothing for that split, that 5-minute period.
Plenty of high possession winners. Uze, of course, and Robertson up forward winning plenty of it as well.
Liancelli, half back. Looking for Green. Marks nicely. So the Demons are building again. They have kicked 3 consecutive goals. Can it be a 4th? Neitz is on the lead here. He's got the advantage. Beaumont closes down now. Knocked down Robinson. Walsh in the goal square is looped down from the fence and marked. Not more than 3 metres out, but it'll be an acute angle.
Well, the goal comes about because David Neitz contested in the air and drew the attention of 3 Carlton defenders, which left Melbourne with numbers on the ground to crumb the footy, and that is the advantage of a big, tall forward who is in good form.
This will be 4 in a row for Walsh. He needs to drop it nice and straight. It's a difficult kick. He will run around on the right and bend it back, and he's got it. Worked it out nicely. First for Walsh.
Well, Melbourne all of a sudden have got out to a pretty handy lead of 25 points. But, Gary, I don't think Carlton are necessarily playing that poorly. I think Melbourne have just made every chance a winner. Their disposal has been about 100%. Carlton have gone inside their forward 50 a number of times also, but just haven't been able to capitalise on it.
Yeah, their efficiency in going forward has probably gone up a notch.
So despite it all being pretty tight in the clinches, Melbourne have been able to kick the 4 goals of the quarter to lead by 25 points. Centre break to Uze. Mark was dropped there by Brown. Got it off, though, to Ward. Running into trouble, Powell. And mucking around with it here. Ward, and the turnover comes. Burring over the top to McKay to Hickman. Well, he decided he'd muck around with it too. And we'll have a bounce.
I think you'll find that Adam Uze might have his 3rd opponent in Craig Bradley. Might have got the job on Uze at this stage.
It's a poison chalice at the moment.
Yeah, it is.
It is tight in the clinches, no doubt. Lappin did well there against 2 ruckmen. McKay squeezed the handball out. Ratton tried to as well, and Camporelli just couldn't quite get on the end of it. In the end, though, it's turned over, and Houlihan has it inside the centre square. McKernan looking for a bit of space. Lamb's doing well to block his run further up the field. That's why Houlihan looks confused as he looks forward. The Kuta, here he comes. Got his hand on the ball. He'll be tested here, close to the boundary line. Kuta pushes Ellis out of the way.
I was there on the ground here to do the cross earlier, and the ground is not in good shape. I've got to tell you, it is soft, patchy, and it wouldn't be the best ground for Anthony Koutafidis to be coming back on.
Disposals this quarter, Melbourne 43, Carlton 24. So the Demon just starting to put the boot down now in this game. White got the tap, Houlihan, Lappin, Ellis. Throw in.
Gary, I think they've made a blue, though, Carlton, bringing him straight back into the seniors. I think he's a player that needed a run or 2 at a lower grade where you could just get the feeling, even in his first 5 minutes. You can see that he's proppy, and this is so different than...
Home game today, mate.
Home game.
Home game in a season of not much crowd.
If you're making decisions on Kuta's future about marking, you're foolish.
Murphy pressured from behind by Williams. McKernan has marked 30 metres out.
Not saying that's the case, but It's part of the equation these days. Everyone wants the money. You got to get it in.
Yeah, well,
looking from the president's
I
suite.
can understand where your rationale is, Ed, but I reckon they would have been far better. You can see Cooter at the moment is just concerned about where he's at on the ground, and you know, I don't think he should be staying out there for too much longer.
25 points down the Blues. McKernan missed a pretty easy attempt early in the first quarter, and here he is, not more than 30 metres out, and he sprayed it across the face again, running in the same direction as where he wants the ball to go, and there's very little movement in the air here, so that's important.
He's playing at centre-half forward is the other thing, which, I mean, he would have to turn around to get back towards goal. I just wonder whether or not the run in the midfield or even across half-back would be better for him.
Whelan from full-back is number 7 in the competition of those that have played 10 games or more in effective foot disposal, so he's great out of that back pocket. Kick, marked, Lappin. Plays on, forced to kick on his non-preferred side. Ryan Houlihan has caused some trouble up there. Murphy, Fletcher, fast hands, but the pressure from the Demons was good. It was exciting and it was powerful as penetrating ball straight up the corridor. Bizzle can go wide if he wants. Takes a bounce. Now it arrives where it should have. A few seconds before, Green mangles right on the ground. It got through Beaumont and hit the post.
Should have resulted in more.
Yep.
The bad handball was a bad handball by Clint Bizzle to Brad Green. It had to be such that he could run back inside onto his left foot. Third poster for Melbourne.
Magnificent play. Russell Robertson. That is a great mark. We've seen some beauties. Coops took a ripper yesterday at Fremantle. And, of course, Thompson for Hawthorn here the other night. But that one running backwards, had to fly backwards.
Don't tell me confidence is not a big part of footy, boys. Don't ever have anyone suggest you it's not.
And that shows you how you can actually spoil a player running at him. It's actually get face onto the ball and take the mark. Beautiful play. Here's a chance up at full forward. Beaumont held his ground.
Great effort.
And took the mark.
Been impressed with Murphy's game and his last month of footy. I think he realises that the time has come for him to become a senior player at Carlton, and he's delivering.
Yeah, Justin Murphy, 25 years of age now, has played 103 games. Today's his 104th, so
he's due.
Has served his apprenticeship. Carlton to centre wing. Beautiful mark by Merrington amongst two Melbourne players. He kicks inside the 50. McKernan. They would have wished it was Kernahan. McKernan got a little bit under the ball on that occasion, and the mark's been taken by Jeff White.
This game's been played at breakneck speed. You just wonder how long both clubs can keep it going.
McDonald, it has. It's been pacey, and the intensity's lifted even a little bit more in the second quarter. The goals haven't been quite as fruitful. 4 of them for the Demons, none for the Blues. Koutafidis, first kick since his return was a very ordinary gyrocopter. Soccer off the ground, Uze, just hoping that someone could get on the end of it. Unfortunately for him, it was the Blues. Murphy, what can he find inside 50? This is where they've let themselves down, the Blues. They have not found clean targets by foot going inside.
Old Cooter, eh? Let's have a look at this. First one back for... He throws the hands in the air and says, oh, gee, I've forgotten how to do it.
A gyrocopter.
Eccles comes on for Carlton. Fletcher comes to the bench. Throw in Merrington, who's done pretty well. Despite the tapping dominance of White, McKay looked like he was going to score a try. Leoncelli for Melbourne now. Clears the defence at 50. Robertson, well, he can do anything today, this bloke. On this occasion, you'll watch it go over the line and out of bounds for a throw-in.
Yes, gyros go down a little bit more than the normal helicopter, I think, Jared. And that one went down.
Further indication that science is taking over footy.
Or something like that. Throw in. On the outer side, the Blues are yet to score a goal in this term. In fact, they've only scored one behind. Here's their chance now. Murphy thumps it long to the goal square. McKernan this time did everything right, but couldn't hold the mark, and it's rushed through for a behind.
Stood his ground, and they did get the ball in very quickly to him to give him that one-out chance. Fair committed effort from Clint Bizzle.
Bruce receives the kick in. They're away, the Demons. They've got players on wide, and they've got a lot of them. Powell, normally good by foot, missed the intended target. It should have been Green and not Vardy. And they let another opportunity go there. as Woewodin and Travis Johnson come on, the double change.
For Powell, and Powell actually snuck on there to keep to get that last stat, and also coming off is Wheatley for Melbourne.
Craig Bradley, who's tagging you, I expect him to wander over to Travis Johnston shortly.
Half back for the Demons, 24-point lead. Going Melbourne's way as we've entered the 20th minute of this second quarter. And as Eddie had mentioned, 4 goals to the Demons in this quarter, not a goal to the Blues as yet. They've been inside 50 a couple of times in the last few minutes for no reward. Williams, Ward, close on the boundary line, centering ball, Neitz, danger, Soccer. Has missed all. Might have been Vardy, was it, or Robertson?
Not surprised Wheatley came from the ground, Gary. He wasn't having any influence on the match whatsoever. He'll go to the bench, sit down and get another crack in the second half.
Throw-in clearances this quarter, 5-1 Carlton's way. Neitz taps it to the danger zone. Hickman thumped it away. Here's a chance now for Melbourne. The handball came in from Williams. The kick is a goal. Well, Woewodin's just back on the ground and he celebrates with his first.
He did sit out Shane Woewodin, or he has been on that interchange bench for quite some time. He's had only 3 disposals at this point of the game. But I'm a bit of a fan of Luke Williams. He's got good leg speed. His disposal can let him down at times, but his legs did carry him to the footy there and got it to Woewodin, who had some good goal sense.
It is the issue, isn't it? The running power of Melbourne just has worn down Carlton in this latter part of the second quarter.
30-point lead for the Demons. 21, nearly 22 minutes in the second quarter. Danger period here for the Blues. They wouldn't want the lead any more than it is now before they enter half-time. Bizzle had trouble controlling Camprelli. Now here they go again. Another penetration inside 50 for Vola. Under pressure this time. McKernan, one out, needs to mark. Strong effort and wants to go on with it. Corey McKernan, he felt that it was unfair. Lamb getting into his back.
Taking it off him. No!
Oh, no! Well, that is, and I don't mind saying, a disgraceful decision.
It is, Brian.
Gave him one to go on.
I have no sympathy for him.
No, you get up and kick the goal, don't you?
Exactly.
Bizzle. Very hard when you've had your nose driven into the car park here, which is located under the ground.
Kick the goal, Brian, then go back.
Gary, you've got to go on with it. Walsh.
Travis Johnson just wasted an opportunity for Melbourne. Poor disposal. He's playing now at centre-half forward. He's a mobile target there, and Craig Bradley is running with him, but he had all in front of him, just had to hit the target.
Corey, furious there, still talking with the umpire and in an engaging conversation, one we'd like to be part of. Leoncelli, Green, half forward, inside 50, Neitz in front. He was loitering Neitz and just hoping something would supply forward. 2 or 3 metres in front of Beaumont, and he's got on the end of it, and he'll line up for goal number 5.
Just weight of opportunity in the end, isn't it? Neitz with 4, Vardy 3, Robertson 2. That is 4 dangerous forwards, or 3 dangerous forwards you've got.
McKernan still having plenty to say to umpire coach there. By the way, Neitz has kicked 8 goals before against Carlton, round 19, 1996.
Lines up for goal number 5. He is straight by foot, and that is there. Neitz has got 5, and the Demons have got 6 in a row.
And that's another 12-point turnaround from an umpiring decision. And given the fact that Neitz got a very lucky one in the first quarter, have a look at this. Well, he copped one high. It should have been 50 metres to McKernan. Now he's sort of returned the favour.
Oh,
and what the umpire should have said there was, right, 1-1, go back and have your kick.
No, that's just...
Is it bad?
That's nothing in that, Gary.
He's a silly boy. Go and kick the goal. Did Neitz, he kicked 8 back in 96. I think I gave him 4 that day. And he's kicked 5 straight. He's on fire at the moment. Brian Taylor still arguing the merits of the Gary McKernan.
I am going to go all day with you on this one because that was unfair as Houlihan rips it out of the middle for the Blues. Koutafiti's under it, wheeling over the top. Here he goes, the much maligned McKernan. Alice, which way? That way. Bruce on the end of it. Demons can open it up through the midfield here. And here they go with Bizzle.
Up the centre of the ground. Travis Johnson for his first touch. He just couldn't quite control it. He might have another go at it here. Had he grabbed it, he was clear. Robertson. Neitz flings the ball out. Open That's his fourth. They're on fire, the Demons. Seven goals for the quarter.
They're a chance every time they go forward at the moment. They have got all 6 of them and looking likely, Jared. And when you get into that situation, you are well and truly in the driver's seat.
Yeah, they're at midfield and attack are going to get all the accolades, but that was set up because Whelan won the ball in a very congested situation, got it forward, and he is having a stellar year, is Whelan, and continuing it on today.
Good quick hands.
7 straight goals in this second quarter for the Demons. They led by just 1 point at quarter time, and they've opened it up to a cool 42. Ball back in the middle. McKernan's been moved into the middle to try and get something happening. Walsh, they go again. The rampaging Demons. Ward might even get one on the left. Was it touch, Jess? Just on the line. They have got multiple options up forward at the moment.
Yes, and Carlton have dropped the player back just to try and stem the tide a bit. Hickmott was loose. Melbourne to be well placed to put one with him. They are playing that well. They could still score with a 7-man forward line.
Just looking at their stats for this quarter, except for Murphy, who's had 6 possessions, and Lappin, who's had 7, their key drivers of the football have just not been getting anywhere near it.
Another turnover here for Carlton. Robertson helps punish them. Woewodin. The kick is to guess who? Vardy. He is just bobbing up. If it's not Neitz, it's Vardy. Neitz has kicked 5, Vardy 4, and this is just a spot where Vardy usually has a ping in him from. Instead, he squares it up to Woewodin. So McKernan on the mark. Woewodin will kick from 50, and he's a thumping kick.
Peter Vardy has been lively down there.
Gary, they have to release Craig Bradley. He's done a great job on Johnson, but they're now 6 goals or more down on the scoreboard. In fact, 7 goals down. They've got to change the mix and try and get some blokes running free.
7 goals to zip in the second term for Melbourne. Ball still in play. Over the line and out of bounds. So it's still in the danger zone for Carlton. A throw-in will come right into the danger area here. If they can flick it to the back, Neitz will do the ruck work. They're a big chance for another goal. So Neitz does the ruck work. No Carlton ruckman down there. Beaumont will have to go with him. Livingston punched it out. Chance for Green now for Melbourne. Ducks the tackle. Did it too easily. Handballs away. Here's a chance for McDonald. Walsh. They're lining up. Jolly. The kick is a beauty. And I'm tipping Vardy won't give that. Oh, well, don't take my tips. It's twice he's given them away when he probably should have had shots, Peter Vardy. The new age Peter Vardy.
Well, he didn't see Justin Murphy. All he saw was Russell Robertson in space on his own. And
he'll get sacked from the forward pocket union. It's not part of the deal.
Biggest second quarter for Melbourne for season 2002.
Let him off the hook the last couple of moments, the Demons. Ward, kick to the square. Neitz has one out with Beaumont. They wrestle. No free kick. They're both in it. And just the minor score. So 44 points now the margin to Melbourne.
I will say I sat here a couple of Sundays ago and Geelong did a similar thing to Carlton. And we all know what happened. It's late in the game.
Camporelli up the middle. Finds his
for
man.
those of us that can't remember, Gary.
Well, they did come back and hit the front only to see it pinched by Peter Riccardi after the siren, Jared. He's surfing that day.
It's amazing, and that launched Geelong's what's been a fantastic 6 weeks for them.
Yep, 6 in a row. The Cats. Lappin went over. McKernan there for support at the back. The running Murphy. Murphy will go inside 50 with a low ball, finding Favola on the lead.
Might be interesting if Robbo can slip out on the ground at half-time and just see if Houlihan and Lappin have got long stops on, because that was pretty dangerous the way he went to ground there.
Favola kicked 2 in the first quarter, looked likely, and has been, well, starved of some quality ball inside 50 in this quarter. From right on 50, needs to bend it left to right. It's coming back, just not enough. Minor score. And we believe both those players you mentioned have got plastic molars on today, we've been told.
Self-inflicted wounds.
They've been inside 50 12 times, Carlton, to 16 this time to Melbourne, so they've had plenty of chances still.
It is the conundrum, though, Jared, because the ground is so hard.
I don't think there's any conundrum, Ed.
Yeah.
You just wear screw-ins every time, because slipping over costs you games, and if that comes at a price, well, so be it.
Get some insoles for your boots.
That's a fair argument for those that play here every second week, I reckon, but I'm not sure in Carlton's case that it's relevant.
Used to play on turf wickets that in many cases were hard as rock. Still have to deal with it.
It's the only piece of equipment they have to worry about, footballers. Inside the forward 50. Look at this, Melbourne through Walsh. Beautiful blind turning out to Ward, who gallops away. Leoncelli now looks forward. Vardy! Go back and have a shot this time.
I reckon he might. Well, there are days, I reckon, where the coach sits back and said, there it is. That's the way I've been dreaming about my side playing. And Neil Danaher must be sitting there thinking exactly that in this second quarter.
Yeah, the run and movement of the footy has been excellent.
Last kick of the quarter coming up for Peter Vardy, and what a quarter's been for Melbourne. 7 goals. Carlton's goalless in the second quarter. The margin was 1 point. Melbourne's way at quarter time. Vardy from 55. He has given it an enormous roost. It'll be offline though. And I think through for just the one behind. But what a quarter it has been for the Melbourne Football Club. They've kicked 7 goals, 4 to 3 behinds in the second term. So Carlton a 6-5-41, Melbourne 13-7-85. To add.
No, the Carlton bench hasn't arrived to us yet, Ed, so we were hoping to get them before we got there. Certainly, we've seen the ambulance leaving the ground. He got very heavily hit.
Well, Pete, we'll come back to you because some of the Carlton officials are coming down there now. You do your job. In the meantime...
10 seconds away, Ed. We'll get it.
You go for it, Pete. Robbo, you tell us what you know about or any news you've got at the halftime break.
Yes, well, it was interesting. I ran up, I've done some groundwork actually, and ran up to Lap and asked him what it was like falling over on the back of his head with those moulded stops. He said he nearly broke it, so some concern there. Scott Camporelli before the game said he refuses to play in screw-ins. Now, in my day, you had to. If you fell over in a contest, the coach would rip you off the ground, so I don't know about that. These players have to take some responsibility about their boots.
All right, well, Kudafiti's coming to the bench. And, of course, we'll get more from Jared Healy, who was red hot on the boots before half-time. Pete Larkins, you spoke to a couple of
Carlton officials said to me that I should be able to know because I know everything. So clearly they weren't prepared to give me the information on Lance Whitnell. But he did dislocate the collarbone, was very uncomfortable, much more pain. But they wouldn't verify if he'd left by ambulance at all.
There you go, mate. Well, they can't have a go at you, Pete. You didn't run out and hit the bloke. So there you go. Peter, you haven't made it until you've been banned at Carlton at some stage in your life, so well done.
You told me that, Ed, so I feel like I'm halfway there. No,
good on you, mate.
It's okay.
Well, the news is bad enough for Carlton. Have a look at that. Cooter's on the bench, but no sign of Lance Whitnell, as we said, on his way to hospital. And Pete will invoke the AMA Brotherhood down there, I'm sure, and get onto the local doctor and find out what's going on.
Has he got a big week ahead of him, Peter? Dr. Peter Larkins with a bit of patch-up work going on.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, there's a big week ahead for Carlton if they don't stem the flow of goals that came in that second term, where Melbourne were able to kick 7 goals, 4 to just 3 behinds to improve a 1-point lead to 44 points at halftime.
Luke Livingston, the youngster's gone to David Neitz, who's kicked 5 goals in the first half.
McKernan into the ruck for the Blues against Jeff White. Bounce favouring McKernan, put it down the throat of Ratton. Heavy traffic. Gee, Bradley was forthcoming with the boots in there to try and extract the ball. Kick into the forward 50 for the Blues. Results in a congested situation. Bizzle getting involved and Lamb there as well.
It's interesting when you follow the careers of guys that are in it long term, like Bradley and Michael Tuck. Invariably, they get a bit snaky at the end of their careers, and I reckon Craig Bradley's gone as close to being reported this year as he has at any time of his career.
Whelan, kick out of heavy traffic. Murphy got on the end of it. Bruce put a hand in there. Murphy, long handball. Camporelli, can he find someone to get on the end of it? Fletcher, good body movement. I think it might have hit the deck first. The umpire was a little unsighted, but in the end, I think he made a good call in not making a call.
I think that's what Carlton need to do in their forward line, particularly now that Lance Whitnell's not there, is to rotate some players through there that they can perhaps manufacture a match-up.
Woewodin onto Ratton.
Lappin, looking for Houlihan. Whelan had hold of him. Free kick, lucky. He milked it, and he helped it along. But he got it.
I don't think Whelan knew that the umpire was right behind him, and he pinged him. He was right in his face. Let's have a look. He grabs him and pulls him back, and that was enough for the umpire to give him the free kick.
He lost the ball too, Jared. He had no reason to do it. The ball had spilt free, and there were 2 Melbourne players around it, so probably one he didn't have to give away then, Matthew Whelan.
Just to start the Blues need.
Yep.
Houlihan's had a pretty good game, and if he can fire them early in the second half, who knows? They have had one comeback here this season, Gary, against Geelong, as you said.
Well picked up.
He kicked the Blues' first goal inside 30 seconds. They didn't kick a goal in the second quarter. Can they get one in the third? Not yet. Not yet for the Blues. Ryan Houlihan. A miss.
As you said, Brian, their last goal came at the 29.5-minute mark of the first term. We're now 2 1/4 minutes into the third term. Now, we've just got news from Carlton and that Lance Whitnell has been taken to hospital for preliminary x-rays for an AC joint. They're hoping it's possibly sprained, but obviously they think it's a little bit worse than that. That's the official word from Carlton. We'll get more from it from Peter Larkins in a moment. Leoncelli kicks forward. Inside 50. There's some speculation. Might have been a cracked scapula. Jared Healy
wouldn't be surprised at where the contact came, but we won't know until the x-rays and Doc Larkins confirms.
Okay, here comes Corey McKernan. Nice bump. Bradley. Pass centre wing up to Hickmott. Hickmott's handball was an absolute ripper to Houlihan. Houlihan looking for Favola. Fletcher's at the back if he can get there quick enough. Great play there by Ellis. Wants the boundary line and finds it. We'll have a throw in.
There's some case to say maybe throw a whole different forward line at this Melbourne back 6 and go a bit smaller with Houlihan and Hickmott and Lappin, and also Fletcher is playing out of the goal square. Murphy as well. Just it gives the taller Melbourne back something to think about.
Boundary throw in. Carlton's forward 50. Their last goal was just shown, and Eddie mentioned 29 minutes in that first quarter. They had a relatively simple opportunity through Ryan Houlihan moments ago, couldn't convert. The Demons, however, in that second quarter, 7 unanswered goals. Third quarter, Carlton obviously need to get away to a flying start. Not even this margin is impossible at Colonial. Handball, Murphy. Camporelli sprayed it as well.
They did well though, the Blues. Melbourne ran a block and a screen for all their midfielders, but Camporelli just ducked out the back, and he was set up by their ground level players.
So bad miss there by Camporelli. Johnson for Melbourne clears the 50. Murphy goes to the front, but it's all the Demons at the back. One of them is Bizzle. Tries to crash through. Goes to ground. Umpire calls holding the ball.
Where was the tackle?
Umpire Coates not having the most popular of days in the Channel 9 commentary box, that's for sure. No votes in the Jeff Crouch medal for him today. We'll have a ball up 60 metres out. Let's have a look at this again. Now he breaks the tackle. He probably got one high. Now he goes to ground here. Doesn't handball, but no one's holding on to it.
You've got to be impeded to get an award, to get a tackle awarded for you.
Brian,
let him go as much as possible.
Will not agree today, Brian. You're saying that was a free kick.
You're right.
Is that a free kick?
A lot of huffing and puffing going on up here.
I think BT's awarding the Jeff Crouch medal.
Well, Luke Williams has just cocked one high. Umpires called play onto a free kick. Lappin from 50. He likes a goal. Well, not today.
No, they have missed. They've had 3 opportunities, but the signs are good. And I reckon if you were Melbourne and you're the coaching staff, you get a message out to David Neitz or to one of the senior players to the midfield and say, hey, boys, wake up. This game isn't over yet.
5-1 inside 50, Carlton's way.
Up the middle, Whelan. Found his man. Bruce. Kick to a vacant half-forward line. Carlton with numbers. McKay forced on his non-preferred side. Murphy got a difficult bouncing ball, but he's got support from Favola. There's the new bit of turf, and over goes Favola.
The turf ripped up, Ron.
There's the fake turf.
Yeah, the boots on Brendan Favola. Ordinary kick going forward.
Well, Well, disappointing start to this quarter. It was such a fantastic standard in the first half. This has been less than enthralling.
McKernan extracts from the boundary contest. Ellis looking to retreat. Whelan was there. Ratton clever. Houlihan. Excellent work. Here they go, Campbell. Blake Campbell, long ball. No mark over the top from Fletcher. Lappin's in front. Can't make it work either. Strong defence from the Demons.
It's not over this game, Gary, because Melbourne have come out and maybe they got too far in front. They've sat back and thought enough's enough. I'll just sit back and get the easy possession. And Carlton are continuing to run.
Unfortunately, they've only added 3 points, though, Carlton. Umpire Coates gets amongst the action again. He's picked out a free kick going the way of Melbourne in the last line of defence. It goes to Jeff White.
We've seen some big comebacks, haven't we? And there is a school of thought that says if you get so far in front, it might be the worst possible situation.
Having said that, I'd rather be 7 in front than 7 down.
Lamb was the kick from defence for Melbourne. Camporelli brings it back in towards Hickmott. Good play by Johnson. No umpires paid a free kick.
He's in everything today.
Yeah, I would agree with you too, Jared. But it does, you know, this game, it astounds you how much of a, you know, the mental component can influence the way players play.
Inside 50. And the mark's been taken by Fletcher. It's 3-1 the free kicks Melbourne's way. But already 4 free kicks in just the opening 7 minutes of the quarter. So a chance now for Carlton to kick their first goal, as we said, since the 29.5-minute mark of the first quarter. So all their goals have been at this end. Simon Fletcher lining up. Be a good kick from here. He's about 48 out on the boundary line. Fades on his trajectory and through for the 4th behind of the quarter to Carlton. Melbourne are yet to score.
Camporelli's now running with Shane Woewodin, and Melbourne have reacted by quickly pushing Woewodin into their forward 50, thereby getting Camporelli out of the way.
I like the move of Fletcher up forward, though. He's got James McDonald as his opponent. He looks a far more capable forward than McDonald is on the last line of defence.
Inside 50s in this quarter. I don't think Carlton have had one yet. The Demons have had them all, and we've played 8.5 minutes. So the Blues need to start to convert. Little chip kick was good from Beaumont and found Ratton.
I think, yeah, what you said, Brian, is right. All the inside 50s have been Carlton's way. Melbourne probably only gone inside once. And there are just a few little cracks appearing here. Some ordinary marking. 33 disposals to Carlton. Melbourne have had 10. And we've played coming up for 10 minutes of this, or 9 minutes of this first quarter.
Jeff White off and Jolly on while Murphy lines up for goal.
And David Neitz is pushing into the middle. The general's got to get in there and give a few blokes a foot in the proverbial.
Murphy to stop the rot for the Blues.
Great
kick on its way, it's bending left to right, it's a goal. They've finally got one, the Blues, their first since the first quarter.
Well, this is a courageous start to this quarter by the Blues, and the one thing that they've had as a common trait in the last month, Gary, has been the fight. And I think that's what's kept the pressure off Wayne Britton as a coach. They have continued to be competitive. They haven't won many games, but they have run out games. They pushed they pushed Brisbane all the way up in Brisbane. They finally cracked it against the Tigers last week, and they're going pretty well just in this second half.
So the margin 34 points. They've kicked 1 goal for the Blues to no score in this third term, and a free kick going the way of Jolly.
Yeah, Jeff White already off the ground, and Jolly goes with a gyrocopter.
McKernan not happy with the umpiring today, no doubt about that. Beaumont thumps it back in the middle of the ground. This is going to be a good clash. Hickmott came straight through, and Johnson didn't deviate. The umpire will bounce, and that is a good decision.
Well, just got to get their hands on the football, Melbourne. Carlton have dominated in terms of winning possession. They just got to get some possession. They've got to maintain possession and rack up 3 or 4 in a row.
In the meantime, a little bit of pushing and shoving going on. Franchina has gone on to Johnston. Bounce, Jolly. McKernan got the tap. It was Leoncelli, though, with the clearance. Beautiful kick around his body up towards Neitz at full forward. Got to the front. And umpire called play on.
Good decision.
Yep, didn't quite control it long enough. Tight in the clinches. Vardy, the opportunist, gets the kick out of the pack, but it's Camporelli sweeping from behind, who takes it to the boundary line for a throw-in.
Luke Livingston been handed the big job on David Neitz, and this was one that almost got away from him, but just enough pressure on the end, he wasn't able to maintain control.
Throw in. Just outside forward 50 for the Melbourne side. Bruce was the third man up. Good play. Out to Walsh. One-on-one in the square again. Neitz versus Livingston. It comes to Woewodin. Murphy tackles him. He got his kick away. It bounces awkwardly, but it's Wiggins for Carlton who relieves the pressure.
Short ball. Finds his man.
He's a player, Gary. Simon Wiggins.
Yes, composed, isn't he? Maintains it.
Beaumont. Short further downfield. And keep in mind that Carlton's talking about whether they can get back or not. Their last 4 games have been decided by 21 points in total. The 3 losses and 1 win, but 21 points in total over their last 4 games. So they have been ultra competitive over the last 4 weeks, even though only 1 win. Jolly back inside 50. Beaumont, the front, then he works hard on the ground. I'm not sure where the front and centres were. Uze needs magic, found a little bit of it, advanced it, and there is something out of nothing brought on by Uze. Neitz will line up for goal number 6.
Direct assists, Jared, are something that we should take more notice of as commentators, and that is the player who gets the ball to the man that kicks the goal. And I reckon if you had a stat on it today, Adam Uze would be right up there. He might not be slotting him through, but by jingos, he is setting a couple up.
What's more important?
Thanks, Lou, by jingos.
This is David Neitz' 5th bag of goals this season. And a bag meaning 5 goals or more, and he already has 5 now. Comes in to make it 6 from point-blank range for him. 6 to Neitz.
And a pretty important goal it was, because it just stamps their authority back on the match. I think they needed a wake-up call, and they've had the call to arms. And Adam Uze sets this one up. But what's more important, Gary, this bloke doing his role or this bloke doing his?
Equally as important, Jared. He can't operate without Uze winning the footy and sending it down into his area. Some are obviously of more value than others, but I'd back Neitz against Livingston most times.
So against the run of play in this third term, Neitz takes the mark, kicks the goal, and we're back to 40 points to difference. It's a goal apiece in the third term. Jolly and McKernan. McKernan gets the tap. Hickmont did it well to Ratton. Fast hands to Murphy, who squared it up, but there was nobody home. Ellis gets a dodgy bounce, but he had enough space on Favola to dance around him. Nice handball. Jolly concedes some ground to Lamb. Lamb. Kick didn't really penetrate at all, but good play by Green, who met the ball in the half volley to Walsh. To Ellis, who kept running on centre wing. Ellis's kick has turned it over. He was punished in the first quarter doing the same sort of thing. Will it happen here as Beaumont kicks to Murphy at half-back flank? Murphy's kick is nearly over the head. Yes, indeed, over the head of Hickmont, who fights hard for the ball. Gets it going to Franchina. Franchina at half-forward flank, puts it up in the air. McKernan and Lamb. McKernan does it well. Don't touch him, Corey.
Hurt himself.
Cannot get a trick to go his way today, Corey McKernan. He has hurt himself here. He was limping before, as you can see. This is the replay. He might have gone forward with a bit of a hamstring, and he's taken the mark. Doc Larkins, your thoughts?
Yeah, that happened a minute ago, Ed. They were just about to bring him off, and he went back into the play and took that mark. So he actually, you might see him coming off. So it wasn't in that marking contest, guys. It happened about a minute ago.
Yeah.
Just the right knee or right upper leg. They hadn't had a chance to examine him. He was about to head for the bench anyway.
It's a bit of, without stealing Doc's thunder, it's a bit of a hamstring there, doesn't it?
Well, he certainly wouldn't be taking the kick if he had a hamstring or a groin.
Here's where the injury comes up.
What's he grabbing?
Let's keep an eye on him here. Nothing much. Might have got a jaw on the knee. Who knows? We'll find out shortly, because Pete Larkins has got tremendous context down there on the bench at Carlton as Kuda comes on.
They've all got guns.
Favola has come in to take the kick, and Favola has kicked his third.
Well, a fair weight falls on the shoulders of Brendan Favola now. Lance Whitnell, of course, in hospital, the bad shoulder injury, and now Corey McKernan off the ground with some sort of a leg injury. So Kuda back on the ground, but I think the challenge now is for them to try and manufacture some goals in an unconventional manner, if you like, Jared. And they started with young Fletcher, and I think it's something that they could still look at.
efforts of Corey McKernan there, who's just come off the ground, unable to take his set shot for goal, which Favola converted. And there is the injury. Let's go down to Dr. Peter Larkins.
Yeah, not stealing the thunder at all there, but it is a right knee injury. Lands awkwardly from the ruck contest and jars the right knee, and he's come up sore there, so that's the reason they brought him off to check and see how he's travelling.
Cooter's in the goal square.
In the middle, Demons, Bizzle. Carlton have got 2 of the 3 goals kicked in this quarter, but Bizzle drives it forward. Neitz, slip, crucial moment. Fletcher marks, he wants to switch the play. Now, they've got the loose on here, the Blues. They've got 2 players loose wide. One is short, and that's this man, Camporelli, and the other is Hickmott. Further down, the Blues, nicely. Just starting to play a better brand of football. Favola on the lead. Got to hang on to those as a leading forward. Kick back into a bunch of Demons, and will now be taken out of defence.
Robertson comes out to meet the ball. That was a crucial play by Camporelli. Just got the hand on the ball. Wiggins' handball wasn't too flash. It set up his teammate in Campbell. Will have a bounce. Pete Larkins has got an update.
Yeah, just Andrew Merrington, just watched this contest here, just replaced McKernan. See, he got a heavily strapped left thigh. He's just got corked in the buttock, so McKernan off and Merrington limited.
Oh, they're struggling, the Blues, at the moment. McKernan off, Merrington limited. Wheatley on his way to hospital for shoulder x-rays. And Anthony Koutafidis with a mattress strapped around his leg.
And they've made a change, the Demons. Ellis has gone to Koutafidis, and Lamb has pushed out onto Favola.
Coming back from a knee reconstruction. There it is.
Koutafidis gone to full forward. Jolly knocked down Bruce. Here they go through the middle. The looping handball. Green, lead of Neitz, beautiful.
Geez, a beautiful
Just
kick.
Beautiful.
Brad Green is a beautiful kick of the footy. We know he can kick goals okay. The push has been on to have him play more through the midfield, led by Jared Healy for some time. He spent a lot of time as a forward pocket, and you can see the benefit of it. He has got a beautiful awareness of where these forwards are going and kicks with just the right amount of depth.
Never known a guy to have so much influence at different clubs than Jared Healy. Makes a lot of moves with a lot of players. Wields a lot of power.
He's the Australian chairman of selectors.
Indeed he is. Neitz, goal number 7.
Not sure who's making the moves, but Brad Green looks a very talented player who we all know can kick goals. But if he can go into that midfield area, Gary, and become part of the mix, he's going to be even more important. He should be pushing up for a best and fairest, or for club honours of that ilk. And he's not going to do that sitting in the forward pocket in the shadows of David Neitz.
No, some people just look at the goal kickers, Jared, and that's the problem. They've got to spread their vision to see who set them up.
Particularly former full forwards.
So congratulations to David Neitz, who's kicked 2 weeks in a row, 7 goal bags. Great effort. One against one of the top teams, the defending premiers, and today against the team anchored to the bottom of the ladder.
And I think 8 is his most ever in a game, Ed.
So there's a big chance because Bizzle has picked out Powell. Get ready, Nita, here it comes. He's going to have to come from a long way. He'll get the spoils here. Doesn't matter, don't... Oh, I thought there was a freak goal to Robertson. Only he could conjure one from there. Michael Roberts on the boundary line, speaking of freaks.
Yeah. Matthew Lappin in a bit of a tangle, had a bit of a swipe, but Cameron Bruce started a little bit of a melee in the middle.
Michael Roberts, boundary side as Camporelli swooshes the ball back in, looking for and partially finding Thornton. No goals in his career so far. Thornton playing his 6th league game today. Ball goes out wide. The Blues now work it forward. Hickmott marks strong, 60 metres out. Too far for him.
Cooter is the next man on in the goal square, up against a couple of Melbourne opponents.
He's got Ellis as one of the opponents, Cooter. Now Hickmott will be forced to drive the ball long, and this will come in the Anthony Koutafidis direction. Now Cooter's got to sit at it. Can't get a jump of it. He's a direct opponent. Ellis did, and he met the ball solidly. Out of defence. The Demons now, Lee and Chally started the day on the bench. Robertson had a great first half. Dropped an easy mark there. Beaumont tries to back out of it. Handball, he had nothing on offer. Straight to the Demons, and they're away. They've got numbers running forward. Green, here's Jared's man. Neitz, there's the other. Little bit of soccer. We know he can play that game. On this occasion, didn't quite work. Bradley. And he goes out towards the boundary line. 371 games for Craig Bradley.
Not sure David Neitz did the right thing on that occasion. Brad Green was a player on his own. Let's have a look at Darren Jolly here. Ooh. Hip and shoulder with his arms pinned. They're the worst sort. You can't get your arms up to defend yourself. But Neitz took his man to Green. Green was on his own.
The tap came from McKay. Houlihan's grab. This is Eccles. High. And gets the free kick. So Eccles at half-back flank for Carlton. Free kicks 13 to Melbourne, 9 to Carlton. Eccles just puts it up in the air. Try and mark that one. Cooter versus the world. Over the top of the ball, and Cooter keen to keep his feet. Interesting, Gary and Gerard, when Cooter went for that mark before, it was a big pack. He was blocked in his run, but still wanted to fly from behind and around the outside of the pack rather than the way he used to crash packs. But he'd expect it, you know, probably for the next month.
Oh, I think you'll expect it right through until the start of next year that he gets his timing correct and his confidence in the knee joint. That if you're wearing that bed, as you said, around your knee, it's going to be a hell of a long time before he gets to the 100%.
He's only doing a few things here and there. You're right, Gerard. It's, you know, probably not at this level is the place to be sort of just hanging around and experimenting, is it?
Mind you, if you are anchored on the bottom of the ladder, I suppose there's we've got all the medical people here and everything, and Cooter just shows that he is still in town.
Well, the thing about it is, I don't know whether Stephen Powell's the right man to be roughing up.
He can go a bit, Stephen Powell, they tell me.
He can go all right.
And there he is.
Good hands.
McDonald on to Bruce. Bruce does it beautifully. Oh, coming through as Beaumont lined him up at the back. Camporelli starting to get a bit willing now this game. Fletcher kicks out wide. Wiggins has to camp underneath it. Did it well and took the mark. Looks up. There's plenty of Blues on. One of them's his skipper. Oh, gee, there was 3 of them. Did very well. Campbell. Long left foot kick up to Favola. 2-on-1. Whelan was at the front. Here's Lappin. Couldn't quite get a handle on the ball though. Lamb got the handball out wide. Bizzle going up and down to one spot, allowed McDonald to go past him. This is Brown, Nathan Brown of the Melbourne Football Club. Gets the handball working. Gets it back to 1-2. Looks up, nowhere to go. That's why he won't kick it. Now he finds a man in a red and blue jumper.
Too far. Red ran too far. Free kick back here to Houlihan.
And Robertson took the mark, but you heard it from Gary. It was good play and bad play, really, because he didn't kick blindly, but he just overstepped the mark.
Blues into attack. Cooter Feeders! Push. No mark.
She's over. It's a tough decision.
Yeah, I think he got it on the side.
Yeah, without jumping on the umpires. I reckon that was in the contest. It was fair play. It looked like just a grapple of arms, and he just showed greater strength.
Well, here it is. And that's just a push on the side, and Ellis helped himself go forward. No decision.
Haven't read the script, the umpires.
Gee whiz, I tell you what.
Umpires have had a, well, not a unique game, but a rather
They wouldn't be
game.
happy at Optus Oval, that's for sure.
It's a fair shove.
On this side, Gary.
I know we'd like to see Cooter get one. I would love to see him get one as much as anyone, but
It's not about who gets and who doesn't. It's about what's right and what's wrong.
It is
ball out
Sunday.
wide. Williams.
Sunday sermon coming to you from Brian Taylor.
the holier-than-thou priest in a commentary box.
Williams. Third quarter. Just 2 goals apiece kicked in this quarter so far. Time ticking away. Demons haven't put much of a dent in the margin. Robertson flew high. Free kick. Who knows what for, but the umpires are paying advantage. It'll go Carlton's way. McKay kicked the Cooter Feedies again. Couldn't get the right body position at the back. Lamb. Cooter attacks.
Good on you, Cooter.
And he was looking to rub head into turf as well. And free kick. I give up. I give up.
It might be the best thing for Cooter is to get himself fired up and take his mind off his leg and then just let him go after it. And
He looks pretty comfortable running into the straight line, Gary. It's when he has to turn that he's not quite ready.
This one, again, wonder whether half-back might be an option for him.
The free kick eventually was against Favola. Goes to Ellis. Ellis kicks almost to the wing position. Nearly a 50. He's given away one already today, Favola. He just gave the umpire a dirty look instead on that occasion. It's Lamb at half-back for Melbourne. Kicks to the corridor. The mark has been taken by Walsh, who runs on. Neitz is his target. Neitz. Some support from behind from Wiggins. Some grabbing going on. Thornton. Umpire pay it. Let it go. Here's Fletcher. He runs the centre wing. Cooter. He's backing back. He shoves. He marks. And he gets it. Well, the Cooter. His first kick in his comeback was a shocker along the ground. And he may, in fact, get a kick after the siren here, or be close to it with only about 14 seconds left. The umpire has blown the clock.
He's lost none of his upper body strength. That is one thing it's pretty safe to say.
Well, here we go. And after the siren kick for Anthony Koutafidis, the Cooter comes in. Beautiful kick is on its way. Something for the Blue Baggers to celebrate. Cooter is back. And look at that. Every Carlton player on the ground comes down to welcome back their superstar forward. Emotional scenes here as Anthony Koutafidis kicks his 172nd career goal. But that is one that he'll remember for a long time.
Congratulations to him. It's always nice to get one back, and it is just the fillip that the Carlton side would need. That is one of relief. And there, well, it's been a long time coming.
301 days, Gary, working 8 hours a day. Well done to Cooter, and great to see that fly through the sticks.
At three-quarter time, Carlton a 9-9-63. Maybe inspired by that man, Anthony Koutafidis. Jack likes it. Melbourne, 15-8, 98.
Welcome back to Colonial Stadium, and Cooter, he's back. He got busy. A little bit of aggression shown by him. He just sparked him up a little bit, I think, a bit of push and shove. He laid a big tackle here on Chris Lamb. And then moments after that, he took a mark. The siren sounded. He went back and calmly slotted through his first goal in his first game after 301 days of rehabilitation from a knee reconstruction. Here is the three-quarter time score. Well, much excitement there in the blue camp at three-quarter time. They've still got a power of work to do. It is Melbourne 15-8-98 to the Blues 9-9-63. It was a bit of a nothing quarter, really. The Blues able to pull it back by a goal. Wayne Britton at three-quarter time would have had much to say. There was another game today up in Sydney, and believe it or not, gentlemen and ladies, it was Port Adelaide by 2 points, but wait for it, it was decided by a kick after the siren to Jared Polton. It is the 5th occasion this year alone that a game has been decided after the siren. That is just unbelievable.
Yeah, with about a minute to go, Barry Hall had his first goal of the game to put the Swans in front. And then Port Adelaide, that's why they're on top of the ladder. They do not stop, and only their second ever win up there in Sydney, and it's a big one. They stay top of the ladder.
Neil Danaher can give as good a spray as any coach in the competition. This is three-quarter time. I've seen him more fired up than that, but he would have been disappointed with that third quarter, Jared.
Yeah, I thought the Demons were complacent. They came up against a side that had its integrity on the line, and the Blues, and they were always going to fight back. And I think they will be inspired now because Koutafidis has kicked a great goal. And speaking of goals, David Neitz, what's he on, 8 goals?
7 at the moment.
7 goals. He's got to be a big chance to kick 10 goals.
41-point lead to the Melbourne Football Club going into the last quarter. Can the Blues make an impression on that? Beaumont, the punch away. Neitz, goal number 8. No. To equal his record high of 8 goals. He currently leads the goal kicking on 45 goals with Kingsley and Hall on 43. He's had a ripper today, Neitz, kicking 7.
It's a fair effort, isn't it? They head the Coleman medal race at the moment. Jared's just broken to him a ridge. He thought he had the 8th on the board then. I think it'll come in the course of this last quarter. You backed him, Jared, today? For 8?
No, I haven't backed him at all, Gary. You know, we don't bet on the footy.
Fair enough.
Must have been a horse called Neitz, wasn't it? Here's a chance for Campbell for Carlton to lap it in the middle of the ground.
I was just hoping he would kick 11 to stop somebody else. The last bloke who kicked 10 for Melbourne, spruiking about it for the last 5 years.
Is that right? OK. Eccles, just the 15 to McKernan, who's had a dirty day. Not of his own doing. He was injured, of course. Cooter does it again! Oh, it's Cooter-mania now. He kicked the last goal of the third quarter. Unceremoniously disposed of Ellis. He probably could have had 3 on the board, including this one, because he gave Ellis a less subtle shove than that, or a more subtle shove than that before.
Almost identical,
Yeah, it
wasn't
was absolutely right. So that issue of consistency, Brian, hasn't been there all day.
5th disposal, 2nd mark, and 2nd goal for King Kuda.
Well, he's looking decidedly more comfortable coming out of the goal square, Gary, than he was on the half-forward line, where he had to move both forward and back. And maybe it was just the fact that he needed to get that first couple of kicks to make him feel as if he was at home. But I know that Carlton hierarchy will be pretty pleased with him kicking a couple of goals that will have answered a lot of doubters.
And let's not underestimate the bit of a lift that Carlton would have got from the last 2 Kudafiti's goals.
Kudafiti's consecutive goals, one at the end of the 3rd quarter and one to start this last quarter. Carlton, a mini run here. Melbourne need to put a stop to it. Soccer off ground, Powell. The chase, who will it be? Robertson, scintillating first half. Inside 50, and he's lined them up. He has lined them up to kick his 3rd. Russell Robertson.
That was the goal of the day.
Oh, look, he is that sort of player. I mean, the minute he ran towards the boundary with the footy, he just said, well, it would not surprise you one bit if he was to be able to turn and get inside and kick this goal. And good work from Powell out of the middle. They need a bit of grunt in there at the moment, Melbourne, because Carlton are threatening. But look, you need these sorts of players. I mean, they will frustrate you some days, and some days they'll have lean returns. But when they're on, they're exciting.
The Demons forwards have been on fire. Neitz has kicked 7, Vardy has kicked 4, and Russell Robertson, with 14 disposals, 6 marks, has kicked 3 goals. He's had 3 clearances, 4 inside 50s for good measure as well. McKernan, though, out of the ruck, kicks it forward for the Blues. Inside 50 it goes. Carlton fans want it in the back. At the back of the pack it was Whelan, McDonald, Leoncelli for a boundary throw in.
Ellis has been moved off Kudafiti's, and Lamb has gone down there.
And I think importantly for Carlton, McKernan back on the ground. There was some question mark as to his fitness and perhaps even a knee problem.
Oh, McKernan. Less than subtle again there. Might have a look at this in a replay in a moment. Here we go. What's this, boys? Oh,
gee. Ouch.
I think that's called a cannon. They got up all right.
That's the same as Agamana's, except a different instrument.
Punched over line out of bounds for a throw-in.
Melbourne have won 9 of their 14 last quarters for the season, Ed, outscoring opposition by 11 goals. As there's Corey, they just count them, Jeff. Carlton have won only 6 of 14 of their last quarters.
Jeff White goes up to Corey McKernan and says, I'll get you! From the throw-in. Leoncelli gets the ball out the back. Here come the Demons again through Powell.
Long ball. Neitz, the man of the moment, spins his Livingston opponent around. Soccer.
Hit the post.
No. Hit the post.
4th poster for Melbourne.
Just the minor for Nita. We are getting excited because he's playing well.
He is, and young Livingston is certainly sticking to his guns. Body to body, he held up pretty well.
Just
Vardy, Neitz and Robertson have kicked 14 of the Demons' 16 goals between them. Solid performance by the key forwards that matter. Lamb,
good mark,
was strong. Robertson, here he is again. Had a quite his 3rd quarter. Green on the lead marks, and he's on the favoured side for a left footer.
Brad Green is yet to kick a goal for the afternoon. It's a good strong mark in the end, under some sort of pressure. He's a lovely kick. Be some sort of chance from there.
Had its origins, though, on half-back where Chris Lamb took a mark. And Gary, he's been a slow starter in his AFL career, but there's been some good signs in the last month.
Well, he has to stand up, Jared. If Melbourne hope to make the finals and do some damage, then the key defence post is of critical importance, and he's the man that's been earmarked for it in the absence of Alistair Nicholson.
Melbourne to extend the lead. The reverse angle there. Brad Green on his way. Just inched it on the near side of the goalpost.
Tell you what, you look at the Blues, and even with a half-fit Cooter back in the side, you can see why, if you're a Blues supporter, you just got to sit tight. You just got to be patient, because next year, with Allen coming back and a number of other players, bear in mind Whitnell's not out in the ground, with Cooter back, it could be a rapid rise.
There's music to Carlton fans' ears. They don't want to be down in the cellar for too long.
They may very well have the benefit of some priority draft picks too, Jared, which, whilst finishing on the bottom is terrible, their first wooden spoon, it may be the best and quickest way forward for them.
Well, they'll get first option on W. Carey, that's for sure. If they'd want him. Throw in. And, of course, Carlton at the moment asking for a change to the draft rules as well, to allow them to have first pick in the secondary draft.
Yeah, they don't want to see the first 4 picks go into the raffle, and that would then allow them to go after a non-contracted player and not have to use their #1 pre-season pick.
Which is the whole reason for it, so they've got a fair argument. As Leoncelli kicks long, beautiful mark from Walsh.
An unlikely floating tall marking option is Peter Walsh. Melbourne have now taken 17 marks inside 50, of which 13 have been uncontested, so that's probably an indication of how well they're kicked going inside 50.
All eyes on Vardy and Neitz there. No one had Walsh. They should have, because he polled 11 votes in the Brownlow last year, Melbourne's best. The boy from Carlton, who made his debut in 1999, has kicked 13 goals, 9 in his career, and 1 goal, 2 to this moment. Until today, he's kicked another one, and that's his second.
Was one of those important players, Jared, when Melbourne made the grand final in 2000. He was one of the ones who was playing consistently well.
You can just see he's playing on Camporelli, and Camporelli was actually, he should have been a defender in this situation. He was still ball chasing, and Walsh did exactly the right thing by making himself pretty dangerous at the back.
Two Demon goals in a row have put paid to any suggestions that Carlton might get back in the contest. McKernan, Camporelli, Heish, free kick. Scott Camporelli looking for Fletcher with McDonald. McDonald wins out. Read it, it was a poor bounce. Hickmott probably had time to dispose. Somehow it went the other way.
Oh, now there's one for you, Brian, I'd like to comment on. Very fortunate, young James.
Absolutely.
Might have been dropping the ball or play on.
McDonald will kick out wide, looking for Green. Wiggins over the back. Quite early. How have we seen his game today, guys?
I like him, and as does Jared. He's got some ability and some talent, and he's very composed. I think that's his probably most impressive quality.
Camporelli with some nice new boots on there. Tudoring, he's run. No one directly in front. He's able to play on. Over the top, Bruce got a hand there. Infringement. Umpire just continually blowing the whistle today. Lappin tries to get inside Whelan. Houlihan tapped it to himself. Kick to the square. Mark Bizzle.
So Clint Bizzle's been pretty good today in the back half for the Melbourne side. So to this man, Chris Lamb. Lamb up to centre wing position. Good mark, Leoncelli. Got in front of the young player Thornton, took the mark. Leoncelli through the middle of the ground with his 20th disposal. Mark being played to Ellis. In the middle of Colonial Stadium, Ellis gets up, takes off, good football. Vardy gets a bad bounce, out comes Green, good play by McKay. Vardy still has the ball though. Concedes some ground to Powell. They're all looking for Neitz, it sits up for him. He'll be the last man flying. Well, he almost took it.
He didn't even get off the ground. It almost fell into his hands.
It's like Peter Hudson trying to break the all-time record, just having a moment of frustration.
Yes, he is.
Look at that, they all went up, they all missed it in the end.
Laid an egg.
Hit him on the chest. He was unsighted for the last metre. Ball up, right in front of the Melbourne goals. Neitz gets the tap. Brown Still Brown gets it out. Liancelli, another goal coming up for Melbourne. Hits the post. 5 posters now for Melbourne. So they've only been about literally, well, what would you say, about 15 centimetres off really giving Carlton a belting.
Hand out a couple of plaudits to Andrew McKay, who went on to Peter Vardy and has kept him goalless after half-time, and also Craig Bradley for the job he's been able to do on Adam Uze. Uze only had a couple of touches since half-time.
Campbell well on Johnson.
Wiggins missed. Uze tidied up. Melbourne. The run from Campbell. Back injury costing him a lot of last year as Ratton. Through the middle finds Hickmott.
McKernan.
He's able to go deep. That man Jared pointed out. There he is. Can get a handle on it. Cooter for 3. Cooter's kicked 3 on return.
Well, I had my doubts early watching the first 10 minutes of Cooter in his return. Thought he was well out of place, but Cooter has proved me 100% wrong.
You blokes wanted him to be running around the park somewhere out
in
Broadmeadows or somewhere.
Too.
Hey?
We did too.
I think sitting in the goal square, he's just been able to do what he does best, and that is just use his strength rather than his agility.
So margin back to 39 points. Look at Cooter, just at the back.
Just one of those ones, Ed. I mean, good on him, and I'm rapt that he's kicked the goal, but, you know, he got in there last, and it just fell over the back. Really, if Lamb had did the job properly, he wouldn't have got there.
He was there. Here's the Blues going forward again. They've got a spring in their step now that Cooter's starting to fire. Eccles kick, found Houlihan.
Scott Camperelli. A familiar pose. He cops a fair battering each week. Camperelli, let's have a look here.
That's looking shoulderish too.
Oh, yeah, just a sore one there. So Camperelli gets up, dusts himself off. Bit of a massage from Craig Bradley. And Houlihan has a chance to kick their second in a row here, Carlton. They trail by 39 points. Houlihan comes in, the kick just fades. And Houlihan's kicked 1 goal 2 for the day.
Only kicked multiple goals on 2 occasions today. Or successive goals. See Camperelli going down there. He's back up and full steam ahead for Scott Camperelli. Ellis done a pretty good job in defence for the Demons today. Out wide, Liancelli. Centre wing the ball. We've played 13 or 14 minutes in this final quarter. The Demons in control. 2 goals apiece in this quarter. McKay, strong. Andy McKay, All-Australian on 4 occasions, playing in his 100th consecutive game of his 218 games. Houlihan, Whelan. It's now a foot race. Houlihan has to keep his feet. Whelan did well to push his way in the front. And in the end, 1 out. Solid play. Matthew Whelan, really determined stuff. Liancelli spots up Walsh. Kicked a couple up forward today. Unusual for him. He's a defender of norm. Brown just got a little bit carried away with himself about what he might be able to achieve with the ball. Ratton. Lamb. Handball. Vardy being dangerous. Dragged it, but Green mark right on the line. We'll look for the centering ball. And it will be Wheatley to take a juggling mark. 25 metres out. Slight angle.
Well, the one thing that's not in question is how far this bloke can kick it, because he kicks an enormous bomb, Gary.
He's a thumping kick of the footy, Paul Wheatley. He hasn't had the best of afternoons.
He had a couple of possessions.
Just the 3 at the moment, but he's a talent, and he could play half-back, he could play last-line defence. He could also, I think, be a pretty impressive wingman.
He can thump it, but he's not that accurate, guys. He's less than a 50% converter. 6 goals, 6 for the year, and a couple of other misses to go with that, and that is why, because he gets a lot of gyro. Touched off hands. He thinks it's a goal. The goal umpire said no. Now the field umpire confers. Let's wait, and we'll find out. I think it's going to be a goal. Well, how could he believe that it was touched?
I think he thought the umpire called touched.
Gee, they've had a hard time of it today, the umpires, but
that's right. They conversed, got it right in the end.
Wheatley Nowhere near the man on the mark. I didn't think so. He had the gyro going, the half helicopter, and kicked his first goal.
I don't know why they converged, but they did. Jared?
They wanted a close-up.
I reckon you guys have got an obsession with the umpires.
Well, don't just say, well, why would they have converged?
To get it right.
So Wheatley gets his first, and the Demons hold sway here. 76 to 120, 44 points. It was interesting when the goal umpire came out. Obviously somebody else touched. And
there's a couple of full forwards we're working with here. They've got a lot of skeletons in the closet. They're taking them out on the blokes in white.
Yeah, they are today. There's a bit of therapy going up in the commentary box today. Brian Taylor from some repressed feelings.
I apologise already for my behaviour today.
Bizzle gets it out to Wheatley, who's now got a giddy up and a gallop going. He gets it out to McDonald. Kick forward. Here he goes. Neitz for a career equaling a record. His best ever has been 8 goals. He kicked 8 goals straight against this team, Carlton, in round 19, 1996. Today he's kicked 7 goals too, so this will be his best return in football if he can kick this. He's already gone to the top of the goal-kicking list after 15 rounds of football, and he still has some 10 minutes or so left in the game. Here's David Neitz. Comes in, the kick is on its way. Neitz has kicked 8 goals.
And that is a very good effort on the back of 7 goals against the reigning premiers up in Brisbane. And the thing about this kick from James McDonald are the ones you love as a full forward. Late in the game pretty well in the bag. You could have forgiven James McDonald for blazing away at goals here, but he just pops one up into your path, and that's the one you appreciate. And he kicked it beautifully, Jared, never in doubt.
No, very good stylist. We've gone through 3 times.
Neitz, a record equaling 8 goals today in the personal stakes for him. Ratton, Camporelli, McKernan on the left. No real direction about it. Kurtafidis has kicked 3 on his return today. Whitnall's gone to hospital with a shoulder injury. We'll report on that later as the ball goes over the line. There's the time remaining, just under 8 minutes. Melbourne have kicked 4 of the last 5 goals in this game. In fact, Kurtafidis has kicked Carlton's last 3 goals. McKernan, Walsh, James McDonald, Jolly, Lamb, all in amongst it. Houlihan kept it in. Here he is, Kuda. Looked good then, plenty of balance about that. Kick just missed its target off hands. Hickmott. Can they get on the end of it? No. Punched through by 2 desperate Melbourne defenders. Just the minor score.
Saw Craig Bradley involved in that bit of play, Jared. Adam Musa had 19 possessions up to half-time. He's only had 22 for the game after doing a pretty fair number on Travis Johnston. That is a terrific result for a 38-year-old.
If you were in Wayne Britton's shoes, Gary, as this ball goes to the boundary line, would you encourage him to play on for 1 more year?
No, I wouldn't. Oh, he did cop one just there.
No.
Brian Taylor
Don't say a word, Brian.
Throwing the headset there.
Oh, no, you can't do that. You just tell him. Go on, boys. Get on with it. Reversal of the free kick for the 2nd time going against Carlton. This man, McKernan, was the first one who copped it against him. Comes out to Murphy for a moment. Jolly intercepted it. Across the ground, there we go.
I'm going to see Father the Fonz this weekend at Assumption, just get a straightening out of my life.
The ball comes out right. Pow.
Look out.
Oh, there we go. That's a good mark.
That's a party trick.
Liancelli does it lying down. Beautiful kick around the body. Here's a chance for Lamb. Lamb comes in. And kicks the goal. His first goal in football. Congratulations to Chris Lamb.
What do you think about that one, Gary? Should he have chip-kicked it over to make a certainty of it, or if you're a full-back and you get about 3 opportunities a century, do you take them?
I think here it is. Here's the push and shove. Well, you allowed to do that, Brian?
Well, he had hold of his collar.
You're allowed to do that, Brian?
He had hold of his collar.
Gary, they both did the same
That's
thing.
a party trick, that one.
Oh, you've been offline today, Gary. You're normally very good. You're the best in the business, but today you've been off.
Don't square up. There's something wrong with you. Andrew Lancelli just thought the game was in the bag. He'd do something interesting to liven the crowd up. We'll see it soon, I hope.
The Demons have kicked the last three. McKernan, Travis Johnson, quiet day for he. Puts it out in front of Nathan Brown. Runs onto it. Spun out of trouble and back into a bit. Woewodin working hard as well. Brown extracts finally. Then a 320 pirouette with no ball. As Lappin to wing. Desperate Bizzle. Whelan almost threw it out.
Free kick, Whelan. Put his head down, ran through the pack and drew the free kick.
Matthew Whelan at half-back. 21 minutes. Last quarter, just under 6 to go. Matty Whelan, one of, or in fact, the Demons' most effective by foot. James McDonald through the middle. Who can get on the end of it? Green flew, Wiggins, Beaumont, and Bradley all combining to take it out of defence for the Blues.
Dowring takes the mark. Last man in the chain. Still defensive 40. Under 5.5 minutes left in the game to Wiggins. Trying to open up through the corridor now. No one to kick to. Oh, look at that. He tried to kick to Houlihan, but he was 20 metres short. Oh, Ellis's handball. Wasn't flash either. McDonald back to Ellis. Margin's 55 points. Green. The only interest is whether this man can get another kick. Almost. Neitz has kicked 8 goals, and Vardy was lurking with intent. He has kicked 4.
Well, it's been a great weekend for footy in that I think Melbourne and Geelong have proved that come September, given that they get there, they're going to have the running power to upset and challenge a few of the other sides.
From the throw-in. Chance for Walsh, who got it out to Lancelli. Now the handball comes out wider still. Here's Brown. He'll have a shot from 35 metres out and misses to the right-hand side.
Would there be anything in with David Schwartz's retirement? David Neitz has kicked 7 and 8 in consecutive weeks. Can we read anything into that?
Well, you know more about the club than anybody here, Gary. What's your view?
I'm just wondering whether the focus then becomes more primarily on Neitz, so he's had perhaps a bit more opportunity.
It seems to me that Neitz has had more space.
The Demons searching for their second win in a row. Wheatley, Powell can bomb it inside 50. Got Neitz in a pretty good position, but the kick faded. But Neitz still made up ground. And he'll line up to break his own record. Koutafidis is coming off the ground. So Anthony Koutafidis on his return has netted himself 3 goals today. And a pretty good effort. Has played about half of the game and has got through without any problem. This man here, Neitz, if he kicks this, it'll be his highest personal tally of goals in AFL football. David Neitz for goal number 9. He's got it. Neitz and 9.
Melbourne's biggest score of the season, 21-13, 139. Carlton 11-11, 77.
There is that man, David Schwartz, who's doing a little bit of radio work as we speak with Triple M, Brian.
I think so.
Well, I'll tell you, it's definitely Triple M.
Oh, I was just throwing it up, but
you've got to work your way through the ranks.
This is a very, very fine effort from the Melbourne captain.
There's David Schwartz on Triple M, where he'll work before he becomes an old man and moves on to the AM band, Brian.
And then when all that's done, Ed, we go right to the end.
Here we go. Melbourne are really starting to pour it on now. Out it comes to McDonald. McDonald's handball is a good one. Umpire's paid a free kick and then said play on. There's no need to blow the whistle. Neitz over the line out of bounds for a throw in.
10 goals is a big figure. And Gary, you kicked 10 goals. You'd be the last Melbourne bloke to kick 10 goals. And do you reckon David Neitz can join him?
I'd rest him at the moment and make sure he's right for next week, Jared.
Spoken very much like a man who gardened his record.
We've just found out a little bit more about you, Gary Lyon.
You always think long-term, Brian.
McKay at half-back. And the Demons next week got Hawthorn at the MCG. And they'll go into that with some confidence, having won 2 in a row and beating the reigning premiers. Jolly just saying, how do you do to another tough nut, Hicknott.
He's been okay, Darren Jolly. Yep. He's shown a bit, and it will be important as the...
Not a lot of comedy going on in there, is there?
Adrian Gallagher sitting in the middle of Wayne Britton and Stephen Kernahan.
Probably lost Lance Wheatley for the year.
It's been that sort of year, though. Yeah. Might as well take it all this year. The bitter pills, everyone, you swallow them now and come back charging next season.
The last 4 in a row, the Demons. Ratton, Murphy. The success story today, no doubt, the return of Anthony Koutoufides, 3 goals. He'll sit on the bench for the rest of the game. He's set out and done what he wished to do today. McKernan marks directly in front, 50 metres out, long ball. First goal today for Corey McKernan.
That's been one of the other great positives for Carlton looking to the future, and that is the form of Corey McKernan. It's he looks balanced, he looks comfortable at his new club now, he looks more confident, and if he can just stay injury-free and take that form into next season, well, the combination of him and Allen is going to be a pretty potent one.
And don't argue from Craig Ellis. I think he's shown some leadership too, Jared, which is probably as significant as anything else for the young side.
So the margin is 56 points into the final quarter here. We have played 27.5 minutes, and it's always good to get a 10-goal win. So Melbourne would be keen to finish off with the last goal here. McDonald threw it out. Umpire was blindsided. No, one of them saw it.
Yeah, it's a good call, and that's the benefit of having umpires on either side of the pack.
So McDonald was pinged.
No need to cheer it, Gary.
Ratton kicks out wide to Hickmott. Hickmott to Eccles. Eccles inside 50. Favola was just caught short. Whelan at the fall of the ball. Liancelli. Woewodin crashing through. Still Woewodin. That's gone, and Houlihan will be able to line up for his second goal.
Well, he started the game very well. Young Houlihan got a fair bit of the footy, looked really dangerous, and then it just dried up a bit for him, but that's good forward line pressure late in the quarter.
It's only half a tackle, though. At the end of the day, you've still got to lay the tackle.
Actually knocked the ball out of his hand, or he slapped his hand.
Maybe play on was a better call, but once you take players on, the umpires are sweating on you like a piranha.
Yep. And they do love the holding the ball, dropping the ball rule, don't they, the umpires? Bit of crowd support. So lining up for goal here is Ryan Houlihan. Kicked the first goal of the game and could well kick the last. He gets his second, and the margin is 50 points.
Well, if they are going to continue to develop Carlton, Ryan Houlihan has got to develop as a player as well.
Full quarter player.
He does. He plays in fits and spurts at the moment, and he needs to be able to. I guess he's a bit Brad Greenish. The Greens had a bit more footy play than Houlihan, but he needs to be able to go perhaps into the midfield as well, play off a wing, try and be a bit more creative.
A 50-point win it will be, or more, for the Demons today, on top of their 21-point victory over the reigning premiers Brisbane last week. They are in marvellous touch at the moment. Travis Johnston in the middle. Through came Hickmott, swinging and placing the arms.
Just while there's a break, Gary, how do we assess Travis Johnston's year at the moment? Obviously, he got off to a fly. How's he coped with the extra attention in the last 6 weeks?
Well, I think he's been okay. I think, and I put the question mark over whether he would be able to cope with it. He's had some quieter games, but I think he's still maintained a pretty fair output. Today's been quiet and disappointing, but he's had Bradley in his face from the word go.
McKernan, Hickmott off hands. An opportunity here. They've got players running free and wide. Fletcher on the left foot, gets it in the Doring direction. He was manhandled by Wheatley. And Doring will get a free kick, 15 metres out directly in front, and Carlton could finish with 3 straight goals if he converts.
Yeah, well, he'd be a certainty, you'd think, Brian. He wouldn't be able to... He'd have to fall over to miss from there, I would imagine.
There's the clock. 42 seconds remaining in the game, and Doering will come in and kick Carlton's 3rd consecutive goal to end this game. There it is. Doering gets his first. Carlton get their 14th. 14-11-95 Carlton to Melbourne 21-13-139. And there is the Carlton box.
Well, once again, I think these things are starting to mar the game of footy. We all need to know what is and isn't a free kick. I think that is just so borderline. It's difficult to know whether it's a free kick or not. I think the problem with those free kicks is that they're paid so often and then they're not paid so often. It's always a 50-50 call from umpires. When a goal results, it's so damaging.
Out of the centre, Doering, who kicked the goal for the Carlton side. They've kicked the last 3 to reduce the margin to 44 points. Bruce tries to crash through. We'll have a bounce. 55 out from the Carlton goal. So the clock ticking down to what has been a very good win for the Melbourne side. And a great day for the skipper, David Neitz. He kicked 7 last week, and he's done better than that today. Doering kicks inside 50. Last roll of dice for the Blues. It's all over. A 44-point victory for the Melbourne Football Club. 21-13, 139. Have defeated Carlton 14-11-95. 9 goals to David Neitz. And that man had a good return to football. Anthony Koutafidis, 3 goals in the second half. And, well, that's the real upside for Carlton to take out that the Cooter is back.
Yeah, and there haven't been too many. Of course, Wheatley left the ground in an ambulance with what appeared to be a serious shoulder injury. But I think the story of the day is probably Melbourne's forward line, in particular David Neitz, who was dominant up forward from the word go. He finished with 9 goals and he joins Michael Roberts.
9 plus 7, 16 goals in 2 weeks. Nita, this is pretty easy stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's been good. The boys up the ground have been fantastic, and they're just going hard at the footy and running really hard. So gives them plenty of opportunities, which is great.
Your best effort was 8 goals against Carlton back in 1996. You like playing this mob?
Yeah, well, it's good. It's good. It's good that we can consolidate after last week's good win, and hopefully we can build a bit of momentum.
And is there anything in the fact that the Ox, David Schwartz, is sitting out up there in retirement and you're kicking goals?
No, I don't think so. But no, it's good that teams go well.
And Cooter Mania, it was pretty difficult to judge how Carlton were going to react with him back in.
Yeah, no, look, it's just fantastic to see the great players out there playing. So, obviously, just the start for Cooter, but great to see him back out there.
Tremendous win last week. Well done this week.
Great, thank you very much, mate.
Michael Roberts with the Melbourne skipper kicked 9 goals today as the Demons recorded a comprehensive 44-point victory. We will take a break, and after the break we'll wrap up proceedings here from Colonial Stadium. A pretty good afternoon for the Demons.